Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Stanford fired football coach Troy Taylor. Last week, ESPN reported that 2 outside firms found he bullied and belittled female athletic staffers in 2023 and 2024. While it appears J.J. McCarthy's QB1 from Minnesota entering OTAs, Vikings watch Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones signed elsewhere this offseason and ended discussions with Aaron Rodgers for now. McCarthy told the Up and Adams show on FanDuel TV he hasn't been told he's Minnesota's starter. Added, though, he's happy about it because he'll try to earn it every single day. Pro Football Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe.
You don't got to tell me. I'm going to go prove it. I don't need you to tell me. When I leave the field after the first couple of days of practice, I'll be quarterback one, and they'll announce it. I don't need you to tell me anything. I'm going to go prove it. I'm going to go prove why you took me with the pick that you selected me and why you felt comfortable letting Sam Darnold move on. You ain't got to tell me nothing.
Aaliyah Chavez, the #1 girls high school basketball recruit in the country, announced she's going to Oklahoma. Baseball, Diamondbacks lefty Jordan Montgomery will undergo Tommy John surgery next week. He previously had the procedure in 2018.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, we continue to be on Aaron Rodgers' watch. I'll tell you why, no matter where he goes, it won't end well. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine. Your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. ESPN draft analyst Matt Miller next hour. Doug Thompson here in hour number 3. We're talking a little LSU baseball, but let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Football Tigers back on the practice field Tuesday. Media got to watch for about 20 minutes after practice. Joe Sloan met with reporters, kind of catch everyone up on spring and also him going into his second year as LSU's full-time play caller. Is an interesting conversation with Joe Sloan today for about the 20 minutes that we had to chat with him because a lot of the convos started seeping toward a certain direction, and there was a lot of conversation about the tight end room. This should not surprise because we've talked about it here, and I think if you followed any amount of coverage of this spring for LSU, very clearly there's been a heavy focus on that position. You're losing the greatest pass-catching tight end in the history of the program, Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor!
Had to get one in. It was this is such an essential part of the offense. You went and added not one but 2 tight ends in Bauer Sharp and Donovan Green from A&M. And, of course, you have Trey'Dez Green coming back, and then you've got J.D. LaFleur coming in June. So this was very clearly a spot where they were going to focus. I've told you this statistic before, but Brian Kelly had as many tight ends drafted in his decade at Notre Dame as LSU did from 1980 up until Brian Kelly was hired in Baton Rouge. That's very clearly a position he has and will always focus his offense on. And I loved what Joe Sloan said about the tandem of Bauer Sharp and Trey'Dez Green. Because remember, if you were here last week when we gave you our full practice recap, we got to go out there and watch Tuesday, we got to watch the full practice. One of the big takeaways was how much they were using both Sharp and Trey'Dez on the field at the same time in two tight sets. Like, sometimes they were on one goal line short yardage situation. Both were hand in the dirt attached on the left side. It was one formation where Sharp had his hand in the dirt on the left side and Trey'Dez was at an H-back on the right side. One time where Sharp had his hand in the dirt and Trey'Dez was flexed out. Another time where Trey'Dez was at H-back and Bauer Sharp was flexed out. My point is, they were all over the place. And I think this description by Joe Sloan, which is something I've never heard it described this way, which you're about to hear, but it makes a ton of sense of how they view Bauer Sharp and Trey'Dez together.
The cool thing is Bauer and Trey'Dez have really hit it off. Just how those guys are pushing each other and competing with each other. You know, they both have excellent skill sets on the perimeter, but at the same point in time, I think they bring a little bit different things, you know, when it comes athletically. I've heard people describe a tight end room as you want like a basketball team, right? Everybody can't be the same because we're going to have a lot of different assignments and roles that we ask those guys to play. And I think when you look back, what Coach Kelly's done with tight ends and now what we've done with tight ends since we've been here.
How much does that make sense? Comparing the tight end room to a basketball team. Yeah, you need a point guard. And you need wings, and you need forwards, and you need centers. You got to have dudes that can do a lot of different things. And when you think about the evolution of the tight end position, I mean, my goodness, Les Miles used tight ends that were 300-pounders. They were just extra offensive linemen. I mean, Trey'Dez Green is learning the physicality of the game, but is such a mismatch against a linebacker or a safety trying to guard him down the field. Bauer Sharp really is a mirror image of what you had a year ago in Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor!
Both guys are 6'5", 250. Mason Taylor's listed at 6'5", 255. Bauer Sharp's listed at 6'5", 250. I mean, they physically look like the same person, or not when Taylor showed up, but what he evolved into by the time he left. And Sharp, 42 catches last year, a couple of touchdowns. Shoot, Trey'Dez had 4 touchdown grabs last year. Yeah, man, they're guys that do very different things, which is why I think you're going to see a focus and an emphasis on both of them being on the field at the same time, so you're not predictable by personnel. You know, when you got the big 300-pound tackle that's really just a blocker, when they're in the game, you know what they're doing. They're staying in and they're blocking. Well, these guys, you're not predictable by that when those guys are on the field. You know, and Sloan did kind of give an overall view of that tight end room, a general overview of the whole room.
Adding in Bauer and Donovan, but Trey'Dez being back and the growth that he's had, the way he's practiced this spring as a complete player, he's pretty electric. So, you know, and the way Bauer's come in, I think Coach spoke the other day, I saw where he made a comment about his mentality. You know, I think that's been excellent for us. And Donovan's been a very experienced guy that has a level head and can kind of bring a calm, cool demeanor to the group. So I think there's a lot of different pieces that are exciting about that group.
You know, you got Alex Atkins working with them as well, former offensive line coach. Of course, one of the best offensive line coaches in football, working on the physicality, the blocking. He's also the run game coordinator. Those guys are going to be part of it. I mean, Joe Sloan talked a lot today about the physicality in the offense and how that's going to be a piece of what they do. And it's just so evident that in everything they do, that out there in this spring, that it's a big piece of what they're trying to develop. You know, I posted a video on Twitter last week, you know, from one of the open practices where if you're watching, there it is, where, I mean, this is Alex Atkins watching these guys just hitting individually the blocking sled. I mean, they did an entire period, the tight ends just working on hitting a blocking sled. It's just going to be a part of what they do. But Trey'Dez really is the wild card. He's the X factor because we all know the physical ability there in the pass-catching game, but if he can develop the physicality in the blocking game as well, you're talking about a guy with almost an unlimited ceiling.
I think you see the emergence of Trades as we got through the second half of the season, and then you watch his growth this offseason. And I think he's going to speak to the development of this program. His attitude is infectious, man. I mean, his attitude, the way he attacks things, is infectious. He can be as good as he wants to be, and he continues to push every day to do that. I couldn't be more proud of him and excited about him being here.
Thank goodness he is not on the basketball floor. Y'all, I know we talked about it whenever he jumped over to basketball for that brief time. But remember, like, as it were mapped out, had he stayed with the basketball team, he was going to miss, like, the first half of spring going through the SEC tournament. And, man, that's a guy who at this point in his career needs every single practice and every single opportunity, especially with a new tight ends coach out there in Alex Atkins. So, yeah, I know Trades has said it many times that, first love is basketball, and that's great. But say it again, man. 6'7" dude on the basketball floor, just another dude. 6'7" tight end with that type of ability on a football field, that's a problem. That's a mismatch. Trades Green is that, complemented by Bauer Sharp. That's a room that they're very excited about. You're going to see a ton of two tight end looks this season for LSU. That's very obvious, even from the early going here in the first half of spring. All right, much more from Joe Sloan as we move throughout the day today. Love telling you about our friends over at Shabills Tire and Auto Service, ShaBillsTire.com. Thinking about tires, about time to buy new tires? Well, you want to get the best tires at the cheapest price possible. Well, that's why you go to Shabills, ShaBillsTire.com, ShaBillsTire.com, with locations all over South Louisiana, started in Morgan City up to Baton Rouge, Livingston Parish, West Baton Rouge, over in Acadiana. Find the location nearest you, shop tires online, but here's the thing that always stands out. When you go to Shabills, they treat you like family. You need a tire repaired, they'll do it for free. Just roll on through. Why? Because Mr. Charlie said when they opened the doors in 1968, that's just the way you treat people. It's just the right thing to do. So they do. And so you know what happens. You need a tire repair, you go to Shabills, they take care of it for you, in and out, lickety-split, no charge. You know what's going to happen whenever you need an oil change, or you need to buy tires, or you need that, the brakes are squeaking, you're going to go to Shabills because they're going to treat you awesome. Shabills Tire and Auto Service, ShaBillsTire.com. Shabills, we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us. Show Open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR and the official beer of the Tigers. We will knock out a quick break. Shea Dixon with us in his normal spot when we come back. Since we last talked to Shea, the Tigers picked up not one, not two, three commitments. Where the Tigers stand and who could be next. We'll dive into it next. We'll recruit and talk with Shady on AFR.
After Further Review.
Turnaround season's upon us. You know that already. About March to October is really the heart of turnaround season. So if you're looking for a company that's going to bid your next turnaround, make sure you check out our friends at the Advanced Turnaround Group that's part of Action Industries. They'll get in, they'll get your turnaround work done with safety and with great quality. At the Advanced Turnaround Group at Action Industries, they got select people that are working just on your turnaround. Like, people know Action Industries as capital project company and for their maintenance work, but the Advanced Turnaround Group is the turnaround division with 24-hour availability for emergencies. They offer specialty welding. They offer personal attention. Their entire careers, people who work at the Advanced Turnaround Group, their entire careers are centered around turnaround work. They're not taking resources from another part of the business. This is the turnaround division. It's the Advanced Turnaround Group at Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Big shout out, Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Yeah. How can you not feel good about a sexy tractor? They'll be at the Louisiana Sportsman Show in Laplace this week, so take advantage of big show specials and enter to win a turtle box. Courtesy of Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. All right, Shea Dixon joins us as he does every Tuesday. Since last we talked to Shea, Tigers have picked up 3 commitments. What a run for Brian Kelly and the recruiting staff. Shea's with us now. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I was thinking of, did we talk Tristan Keys last Tuesday? But I guess it would have happened afterwards. So at least I do remember we talked about this could be one of the better receiver classes they've put together in a while. I saw you, I've kind of already touched on that on your side. But a week later, it's come to fruition. They've gotten right to 4 commits, which was 100% kind of the biggest storyline of the week.
Tristan Keys, Jabari Mack, a couple of receivers that popped. Tristan Keys, of course, Hattiesburg High, which that's where we kind of went with it, Shea. Of course, you being a Hattiesburg alum.
Notice I don't scream anything.
Hey, you do you, I do me. All right,
my 5-star, and that's it.
You do you, I do me. Happens. You know, every 10 years you pop a commit from Hattiesburg High, and all of a sudden you get to act like you're something. Come on, bro. You want to talk about like national championship baseball teams? Come on, let's go. What you want to do, huh? What you want to do?
Yeah, every never do they sign someone from Hattiesburg. So this would be fun for us.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, Tristan Keys, Jabari Mack. All right, they both commit a couple of days apart. For those that aren't familiar, give us the context on Keys and Mack and what this means for LSU's receiver commit class here in 2026.
Yes, so Keys is the number 1 player in the country, number 3 overall on the On3 industry rankings, number 1 receiver, I should say, number 3 overall, goes to Hattiesburg High in South Mississippi. So I know a lot of people that follow recruiting, even if just listening here on the show or kind of picking up things here and there, didn't they have the number 1 receiver committed last year? And then he flips on him the NIL era. Is this kid going to stick? And DeCorian Moore was coming out of Duncanville when a lot of people thought he would go to Texas. He ends up going to Oregon. Oregon has ties to that Duncanville staff with Samples and others. So It was a 7-hour, trip from Dallas to Baton Rouge. You're driving. I mean, there were a lot of factors that people thought Texas would win out, let alone kind of land a big deal at Oregon and then really prioritize getting him. LSU's has been on Keys since he was probably in middle school. And this, you've got to remember, it's 2.5-hour drive. That's closer than Oxford, State, Tuscaloosa, any other school that would be recruiting him that, he would be considering. Tennessee, Knoxville was in that mix. So not far from family, which I think is important to him. And he was set up to take all of his official visits this summer and didn't. He just went ahead and shut it down. And look, Donovan Tate, who's on LSU staff now as director of recruiting, and it has been for a number of years now, went to Hattiesburg High and obviously has connections to Tony Vance and that staff and has known about Keys for a while. So LSU's had a kind of a long history here for a kid who's about to be a senior in high school of recruiting him. And the same is said about Jabari Mack. And look, Texas kind of got talked up in Austin. Hey, we think this is a kid we can steal out of Louisiana. But the reality always hits here. Destrehan is very good to LSU. And guys that have come out of there and gotten offered by LSU, they just signed 2 guys this past cycle. So they land Jabari Mack. And as we talked about kind of at the start here, Matt, that's the number 1 receiver on 3. That's the number 8 receiver on 3 and Mack. And then we've got both other 2 commits, Kenny Darby up at Airline, and then Ja'Kai Anderson over at McDonough 35 in New Orleans as top 250 guys. I think they're both firmly in the top 25 receivers. Yes, 23 and 25. And obviously rankings will change, but those guys were first-team All-State, putting up Darby more yards than anyone in Louisiana. Ja'Kai had a phenomenal year, nearly 1,000 yards. So we are talking about 4 guys who are legitimately going to either hold steady or keep moving up in the rankings. And that'll be maybe, arguably right now, certainly the best receiver class that any college football team will sign.
What about as it compares to the 2021 LSU receiver class? Now, we have the benefit of hindsight to know what happened with Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors and Jack Besh. But what about how it compares when these guys are recruits, right? Like if you were to go to this point in that 2021 class, how would this crop compare to 21?
Yeah, well, I could give you the exact facts, but I would, or the exact numbers. I mean, I'm looking at it on through right now to tell you. But I will say, as I'm searching this, Matt, that, not Dante Jackson, Deion
Smith
had signed with LSU. He was maybe the highest ranked out of all those guys.
Yeah.
And ends up transferring, going JUCO, and I think he's at Ole Miss now. I know he hasn't obviously made that big of a splash, but it was Neighbors, it was Besh, it was Chris Hilton, it was, as you said, Brian Thomas, who were all ranked kind of at different levels of in the top 300. Brian Thomas was kind of a 5-star, I believe, in that class. So, yeah, I'm looking here. Brian Thomas was 19 overall. Malik Neighbors right behind him at 20. So those are 2 top 20 receivers. Chris Hilton was 15 that cycle. Deion Smith was 8. And as I scroll down, Jack Besh is somewhere in that top 30 range. So I guess out of the gates right now, a little bit higher. I mean, they have the number 1 and number 8 and 2 top 25 guys. But don't be shocked if those 2 on the back end end up sneaking up and having big careers. That's just how these Louisiana guys are, just kind of as I mentioned there with Malik and Brian Thomas, who are part of the NFL this year as rookies. Yeah. And they're ranked on the back end of that group.
Shea, Dylan Purder's the other guy that popped last week, the cornerback out of Alabama. This one kind of snuck up pretty quickly, right? He didn't get his offer until February. Now he's committed. Can you kind of walk us through this one?
Yeah, I did. This is what the fans make me do. I have to do my mock prediction pieces. And nothing's easier than predicting what 17-year-olds are going to do in the NIL era with 10 months until signing day and fill out 25 spots. But I had at safety, Aiden Hall, who's out of Endicott. They already have him committed, so that one was easy. I have Blaine Bradford, who Catholic High, 5-star, top 2 safety in the country, right here in Baton Rouge. And the third guy I had in there was Purder. And the offer came a month ago, but if those who know anything about Aiden Hall and Blaine Bradford, and you've obviously seen Blaine play a ton, those guys, I've said it on your show plenty, they could walk onto a college team or campus right now and you'd be like, those are juniors in college probably. They are physical. They're huge. They play that brand of football. I mean, these are Jamal Adams, Eric Reed, Delpit bigger type kids. And I think Purder, they needed that coverage safety. So we have him ranked as a top 20 corner, but he is going to play safety in college. And I think LSU's hoping, hey, if we can add Blaine Bradford, that gives us two just thumpers there at safety and top 5 safeties in the country. Let's go get a kind of a guy who's more of a coverage guy. And that's what Dylan Purder was, and offered him out of Alabama and got him committed, like you said, within a month. Visited and went ahead and popped and shut it down.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tigers with us. You'll get him at Shea Dixon on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. So, Shea, the obvious question is, okay, well, they got 3 last week. Who's next? Let's get greedy.
Why not? Unfortunately, there's no greedies out like Williams or anything out there that could have played that well that I know of. I think that we could probably keep an eye on some out-of-state guys maybe at this point, like Blaine Bradford and Lamar Brown are 2 in-state, both here in Baton Rouge, both 5 stars that we could talk all day about, and they're left uncommitted at the top of the board. I still think they'll take a little bit to kind of look around before committing to that hometown school, kind of given how much time they've spent in Baton Rouge, which I presume for both of them really is their whole lives. So I'll go out of state, and a guy I'm circling is Darius Gray. He's an O-lineman. He's the number 2 interior O-lineman in the country. He was here this past weekend as LSU added all those commits and now the number 1 recruiting class in the country. But he's been a big priority for Brad Davis and company, and I think he's like the number 30-something overall prospect regardless of position. So we're talking about another top 50 recruit that if you add only strengthens that number 1 class. And again, Brad Davis has been and his staff, that kind of whole group, whether in personnel or the coaches, have been really good with recruiting O-linemen in recent years, even if it's not Louisiana or even a border state. So I'll kind of lean towards a guy like Darius Gray. The O-linemen seem to not care as much about the fanfare of official visits and photos, and they kind of just shut it down at any point. So I'll lean towards the trenches. Actually, quickly, Dom McKinley, who could be starting for LSU this year, should be probably on the D-line. He does have a younger brother who's a 4-star D lineman in this class who's getting to know Kyle Williams, the new D line coach right now. So I'll throw Darius McKinley in there for an in-state name as well.
Can you give us maybe just a thumbnail on Darius? I mean, everybody knows Dom. And Shea, I think the thing that I always hesitate when there was like the super highly regarded older brother and then the younger brother comes, like this was the Leonard Fournette thing. It's like, hey, is he like as good as Leonard? Like, no one will ever be what Leonard was at that position. How it's unfair to compare, but people are naturally going to do that. How do the two sort of compare physically or otherwise?
Yeah, I think that, look, Darius has been playing football for Acadiana since his freshman year. That's, just kind of roll out of bed and do that. It's a really talented team. So I think between that and then kind of training with his brother, all of that, it set him up well. And look, he's still grabbing offers. So it's nobody's getting Dom but LSU right now, but Darius is being highly courted. So he's ranked kind of hovering right in there as one of the top 30 D linemen in the country, just outside the top 300. And more often than not, like there are just not a lot of 5-star, nose tackles or DTs out there every year. It's just such a premium position. So he's ranked kind of right along there with most of the rest of them. Obviously, Dom finished as a 5-star, but Dom was also 6'5". I'd say Darius is a shade under 6'4" and probably 10, 15 pounds less than where Dom was at this age. But boy, I'll say this, not that it means Darius anything relative to it, but it wasn't until about this time when Dom McKinley even got his offer and then blew up and became a 5-star. So I think that a guy like Darius to already be considered a 4-star and have that playing time at Acadiana and have the offers he does speaks to him being someone they would absolutely take in this class.
Couple more minutes here with Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Hey, Shea, one other thing I noticed is that the 2027 on 3 rankings were updated, and there's a new number 1 player in Louisiana. I guess it's never too early to start kind of becoming acquainted with the 2027 guys. So can you give us the updated news there?
Yeah, and we just initially had a debut top 100. So it's only really was the kids who were, when you're talking about that class 2027, when we did it a year ago, more than a year ago, it was really only kids nationally. For instance, was in that initial top 100 because he was already starting at Dunham. But the rankings team then gets to get that full sophomore year and over at Jesuit. In fact, the Catholic League got a number of kids into this update. Up top, I think 11 guys in the top 300 for On3 are from Louisiana, which is such a high number this early on. So gives you a little hint that next year is going to be pretty good too in terms of what the state of Louisiana can give them. But Forstall, man, debuts as the number 2 edge rusher, and you're like, all right, wow, that's pretty good. Well, it turns out the number 1 edge rusher is also the number 1 player in the country. Forstall checks in at number 3 overall, no matter the position, no matter the state. And I was talking to Charles Power, who runs our scouting and rankings, and he said for a D-end edge rusher, it's he and this other guy at 1 that really just blew them away. And he said really nobody was kind of close out there. So buckle in. Right now, LSU's got Louisiana's the number 1 D lineman in the country, so it's your interior guys, and Richard Anderson out of Carr, and he's committed to LSU. And they've already got an offer out to Forstall, who you would guess they could probably try to put the clamps on and lock up, and then you've got a chance to get a 5-star edge rusher out of Louisiana next year, which isn't a spot, really. They turn out a ton. Don McKinley and Mason Smith had a run on 5 stars, but getting a 5-star edge would be unique for Louisiana.
He is Shea Dixon, On3, the Bengal Tiger. Shea, we always appreciate the time, man. We'll do it again next week. Thank you.
Hey, yep, absolutely, Matt, and maybe more commits. We'll see.
Was it a little tease, maybe?
No, I just meant we had fun with a week away. 3 commits, now 1 more week. Who knows?
Okay, we'll see. I felt like a little foreshadowing. We'll mark the tape just in case. Thanks, Shea.
Okay. Bye, Matt.
All right, we'll see you. That's Shea Dixon from On3. It's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. SunEquip.com. SunEquip.com. I got a quick break, y'all. When we come back, we'll go around the SEC, and of course, by now you know Kim Mulkey's squad punch our ticket to the Sweet 16. A little bit of a preview of what's coming up for the Tiger lady women's basketball team as they head to play NC State in Spokane. Stay with us. It's AFR.
After further review.
Y'all, springtime is here. It is about time. It's high time to get out and give our friends over at Dupuis Builders a call. If you're thinking of building that pool, that outdoor kitchen, that gorgeous outdoor space that you can enjoy all spring and summer, you better check out our friends over at Dupuis Builders. Because yes, I always tell you about the quality at Dupuis, and that matters. Undeniably, that matters. It's why they offer a 10-year workmanship warranty when the industry standard is, 1 year. But yeah, they'll build you a beautiful pool as well. And part of that process is they're going to give you a 3D computer-generated view of what your outdoor space can look like. So if you're someone who's visual like me, you need to see what it looks like. When they put the plans together, they'll be able to give you a 2-scale rendering of what your outdoor space is going to look like. So get that consultation together. Go see their office there on Airline Highway in Gonzales. DuPuisBuilders.net.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Open up a throttle and stir a little dust. Just look at her face.
3, 2, 1. Crowd comes to its feet. The buzzer sounds. The ball game is over. And in dominant fashion, LSU blows out Florida State 101-71, and we are off to Spokane, Washington to play North Carolina State on Friday in the round of 16.
We talk about the big three at LSU, and they deserve every bit of it. But I think they'll quickly tell you, what else can you write about them? Start writing about the other 5, the other 6, because this weekend they were special. Our bench was special. Our entire team was special. It was electric in there for 2 days.
LSU beats Florida State 101-71 to punch their ticket to the Sweet 16. Kim Mulkey, after the game, was talking about going to the Sweet 16, which for the 3rd straight year, which is something that's kind of commonplace right now. But Kim said, make sure that you stop and appreciate it.
Take Sweet 16s for granted. There are many people that never get there. In fact, in our locker room, there's 5 that have never been there. There are 5 players on this team that have never been to a Sweet 16. 5 players that contribute. And I explained to them, this is why you came here. We don't play to just get to a Sweet 16 at LSU women's basketball anymore. That's not that we take it for granted, but our goal every year is to just make a run and see if you can get to another Final Four and see if you can upset somebody you're not supposed to upset. We weren't talked about at all when we won it 2 years ago. So let's go see what we can do.
What a day for the Tigers. Kim Mulkey said it's not just about the big 3. Well, the big 3 certainly played well. You had Michaela Williams with 28 points, Anissa Morrow with 26. Flaugier, by her standards, 13 was an off day, but she ended up only playing 20 minutes after getting in foul trouble. We were sitting here in studio. The game started at 5, so we watched the first hour of the game here in studio during the show. And Flaugier effectively missed the entire second quarter when she picked up her second foul. So you were in a tight ball game at the break, but then, my goodness, Samaya Smith was awesome. She picked up the slack and scored 20 points for the Tigers yesterday. But defensively ramping up the intensity against Florida State in that third quarter is what did it. LSU outscored Florida State 31-6. The 31 isn't altogether shocking. They had a 31-point first quarter. And these were 2 teams that everybody talked about. Got up and down the floor very fast. The pace of play for both was huge. You expected a high-scoring game. But to hold Florida State to 6, when you look at the box score, that's the thing that's the gigantic outlier.
Just made a slight change on guard and Latson. Instead of fighting to get over the screen that they were setting at the top, go under, she makes threes, we live with it. And I don't know that she made a lot. We just couldn't keep her out of the paint and got in foul trouble because we couldn't keep her in front of us and gave up the right-hand drive in the first half. So just completely get on her right hand. When she uses that screen, go under and take your chances that she's going to miss more threes than she does free throws.
Latson was 2 of 10 from 3. And that is why Kim Mulkey is the best. Because while she can get great players and she can motivate and all that stuff, mid-game, how do you adjust? She just told you. She don't mince words. She told you what she did. Yeah, they made an adjustment, made her shoot threes, and lo and behold, That's how you end up getting stops, and ultimately that's how you end up winning by 30. Now it's LSU against the Fighting Will Wades in the Sweet 16 up in Spokane. Will Wade was introduced today as the new head coach at NC State. Called a shot already, said, we are going to be at the top of the ACC next year, and we're going to the NCAA tournament. So Will ain't shying away from the expectations, nor should he. Wish him well. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Hey, listen, we're getting close to graduation time. If you got that high school graduate or the college graduate in your family, and maybe you're getting that graduation present, you're going to buy in that first vehicle, make sure you put Volkswagen on your list because it's the best compromise you'll find. It's got all the style and performance that they're going to love, and it's got the safety and the affordability that you're going to love. 9 different IIHS top safety picks, so you have the peace of mind knowing every time you buckle in behind the wheel of a Volkswagen, you're driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. Oh, did I mention also they're manufactured at their Chattanooga, Tennessee plant, so you're supporting U.S. jobs as well. South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Go see my friends today at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas has officially named its new general manager. Former Boston Celtics director of scouting, Remy Cofield, is leaving the NBA to become the GM of the entire Arkansas athletic department. So not just football or basketball, all of it. So his formal title will be Deputy Athletics Director and General Manager of Athletics. He'll join Arkansas on April 1st. 12-year veteran of professional sports and business.
The Florida Gators.
William Peagler is rejoining Florida's football staff. They're bringing him back, not coaching. He's overseen several practices and spring training there. Peagler's imminent position on the Gator staff, not yet clear, although Florida's tight end coaching position currently occupied by co-offensive coordinator Russ Callaway. And as Ed Ogeron told us years ago, very proud of Russ. Thinks that that was Mark Richt, who's very proud of Russ, the dog. It was Ed Ogeron that thought Russ what?
I forgot it was a dog, so it just made it. Yeah, I know.
Russ was the dog that became Ugga. And so Mark Richt was asked about it's in our Russ Mitchell segment open. There's a soundbite from Mark Richt where he says, proud of Russ. I think Russ has earned it. What's the dog that became Ugga? His name was Russ before he became Ugga. Anyway, are you looking up the Ed Ogeron thing? Is that what you're doing? Okay, well, as you saw you moving around over there. We'll find it. Let's move on. William Peagler.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn is altering its spring game as well. Certainly the trend across college football. The A-Days still be free of charge, but it's going to be more of a practice than a scrimmage. No score will be kept and all that stuff. It'll be in Jordan-Hare like everybody else.
Texas A&M!
4-star wideout Mike Brown has committed to Texas A&M, moving the Aggies into a top 5 recruiting class. He's an in-state prospect that chose A&M over Texas, Oklahoma, Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, and others. 6'1", 180, the 8th commit for Mike Elko's class.
The Missouri Tigers.
Mizzou forward Aiden Shaw is entering the transfer portal. He's from Overland Park, Kansas. He was ranked 70th in the class of 2022. Committed to Mizzou under Quanzo Martin. Remember him? 6'9" forward, averages 2 points and 1.8 rebounds this season. Career low 9 minutes. Hitting the portal.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
And Oklahoma forward Jacob Fredson Cole is entering the transfer portal. Former 4-star power forward in the 2023 class after 2 seasons with the Sooners. He's moving on out. He joins Luke Northweather and Yaya Kita as Oklahoma players hit the portal here as this 30-day transfer window opened on Monday. All right, there you have it. That is around the SEC. Tuesday shows powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Make sure you visit sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Bunky and below, you want a Deere, of course, you're going to Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Big shout out as well to all of our farmers out there planting rice, fertilizing the sugarcane fields. It's your time. It's your day. I know so many of you listen. We appreciate it greatly for you being here with us and what you do for our state, for our economy, for our people. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Okay, y'all, we'll now got a quick break. Come back, wrap up hour number 1. In light of the new NIL portal, revenue share era that's about to go into effect, one school has made a very difficult decision about the future of its athletic program, its entire athletic department. And I think this is a trend that we are going to see more of moving forward. I'll explain next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Y'all, we're certainly into Lent. Of course, people become very seafood-centric during Lent. Fridays in Lent, of course. And if you're looking for seafood, no better place to go than Rouse's. We tell you all the time about the Seafood Spectacular. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, $9.99 a pound. Load up with as much as you want, dozens of different items. They got boiled and live crawfish. They got boiled shrimp as well. Grab-and-go bags. And remember, this Tuesday, $5 Sushi Tuesdays over at Rouse's. Select hand-rolled sushi, only $5. Great grab-and-go option for lunch, or since we're pushing 4 o'clock here, knocking off of work, you want dinner for the whole family? Easy. Roll on into Rouse's, grab-and-go sushi, $5 for select rolls. Get someone in the family, something different for everyone, whatever they want. They got it for you at any of the Rouse's locations. $5 Sushi Tuesdays at Rouse's. This feels like home.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Take it to the barn, put it up for the night. Climb up in the loft, sit and talk with a radio.
Seconds left, and here we go. This is where dreams are made. They're going for it all. Simpson, home run play, the deflection. Oh! Layup! 0.7 seconds left. Alabama State in front. seconds left.
So why would we be playing Alabama State's first 4 buzzer beater win over St. Francis? You might be asking yourself that question.
Why are we playing Alabama State's first 4 buzzer beater win over St. Francis?
I'm glad you asked, Muse. You asked the good question.
Thank you.
You're good at that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
All right.
Because that devastating loss for St. Francis was its first tournament game since 1991. And it will be their last. Now, you might be asking, Matt, why will it be their last?
Yeah, why will it be their last?
Good question, Muse. See, you're on one today.
I've got
My
him.
guy's riding a heater today. Because St. Francis has announced that they're moving their athletics programs to Division III starting in 2026. Their school chairman said it was not a quick or easy decision for the board, but effectively citing the governance in college athletics, transfer portal pay for play, revenue share, they can no longer provide those resources for their student athletes to compete at that level. So they are making the very difficult decision to move to Division III. And you may say, well, that's terrible. And I would say I commend St. Francis for making a very difficult but responsible decision. Because it's not going the other way. Thought about this earlier today. When, my grandparents had Saint season tickets like on the 45-yard line forever. Lower level, like right behind the bench, like 20 rows up, 45-yard line. Amazing seats. And as they got older, then we're going to the game, so they were going to give them up. And I was like, well, don't give them up, because you give them up, you're never getting those again, right? Like, you're just never going to have the opportunity to buy seats there ever again. And so, like, I was young, like maybe just out of college, maybe late in college, just out of college. You know, certainly couldn't afford that. But what I would do is I would front the money and then try to sell the tickets game by game to recoup what I could. Maybe go to a game or two if I felt like I could swing it, whatever the case may be. And it got to the point where ticket prices kept going up, and I was drowning in it every year, and I just had to let them go. I just had to accept, like, I just can't afford this. So I can't keep doing this. So I let them go. And it wasn't easy to do, but it was the responsible thing to do. And while we're talking about 2 dramatically different decisions here that affect people involved at very different levels, the concept is the same, and I'm sure all of us can understand that at some level. College athletics is not going backwards. The toothpaste is out of the tube, the genie's out of the bottle, the cat's out of the bag, you've opened Pandora's box, whichever phrase you want to use, fine. You understand what I mean. Like, revenue share is here, NIL is here, transfer portal is here. It's never going backwards. Like, we're not going to contract college sports and stop putting it on TV and stop generating revenue around it. It's only going to continue to grow in its ecosystem. So St. Francis is wholly unable to compete at that level. So they're saying, let's stop leveraging everything we have to try to run a race we cannot win. Not only can we not win it, we can't compete in this race. And let's go, like, instead of trying to run the marathon when we can't do it, let's go run the 5K and do the best we possibly can at running the 5K. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, go run the 5K. Like, someone asked me today, if you could change college sports, one thing in college sports, well, what would you do? Just one thing. And that's an easy answer for me. The Power 4 would only play the Power 4 in every sport. The G5 would only play the G5 in every sport. The FCS would only play the FCS in every sport. I would make everyone understand you are what you are. Stop trying to be what you're not. Compete at your level against people at your level with similar resources. It's the same. This is true in every sport, y'all. It's why there are classifications in high school athletics. It's why there are weight classes in combat sports. It's why there are age limits in youth sports. Because you have to put checks and balances to make sure people are competing against other people that are comparable. So no, like, St. Francis shouldn't be in the same classification as Duke. That's stupid. And good on them for recognizing it. and the same should be true in every classification, and it will be in time, the more the Power Four continue to expand their reach and their ability to pilfer and pillage coaches and players from the G5 and pay, and the G5 can't keep up. That gap is going to continue to widen until ultimately the pain point is too high and it doesn't make sense anymore, and they sever ties. Like, we're heading there. And it would be healthier for everybody if you just realized it now, acknowledge it, moved on. But you can keep buying those tickets for a few years and trying to sell them and make it work until you realize it's just never going to work. Congrats, St. Francis. Tough decision, but the right one. All right, y'all, we're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com. Of course, our friends over at First South Farm Credit have been first in agriculture for more than 100 years now. You know, our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. You know, you're a farmer, you want to buy that farm equipment or the 1,000 acres to farm land. Of course, First South Farm Credit can help. Farmers know about First South Farm Credit have for 100 years. Since 1960, more than 100 years. But if you want to buy the 20 acres to build your family's dream home, maybe you're just tired of sharing that hunting lease. First South Farm Credit can help you own your own property. It's a great time to start right now. So next year when hunting season rolls around, boom, you're hunting your own property. FirstSouthland.com. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthland.com. Again, one more time, FirstSouthland.com. They're FirstSouthland.com. Okay, y'all, SportsCenter's coming up. We'll get you caught up on national headlines. When we come back, the New Orleans Saints hosted a very interesting prospect on a top 30 visit. We'll talk about him next. AFR.
AFR.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Stanford has fired football coach Troy Taylor. Last week, ESPN reported that 2 outside firms found he bullied and belittled female athletic staffers in 2023 and 2024. A devastating injury to a megastar has had a major impact on the women's NCAA tournament and one team's title chances. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, USC guard Juju Watkins out the rest of the tournament with a torn ACL. ESPN women's college hoops analyst and Naismith Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo.
It's a huge loss for the tournament because, again, she's one of the game's biggest and brightest stars. I don't know that any of the teams left in the tournament have a player who is as important to their success as Juju Watkins is to USC's success.
Trojans' national title odds dropped to 22-1 at ESPN Bet. NFL from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Titans becoming increasingly impressed with quarterback Cam Ward. Still willing, though, to listen to offers for the first overall pick in the upcoming draft. But now it'll take an even stronger package for Tennessee to move down. Titans among a handful of quarterback-needy teams.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, we continue to be on Aaron Rodgers' watch. I'll tell you why, no matter where he goes, it won't end well. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tomlin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Bottom of this hour, ESPN draft analyst Matt Miller will be here. We'll look forward to that conversation in just a smidge. A new big board is out. He's got Mason Taylor on his big board.
Mason Taylor!
For the first time. We'll ask him why. That's coming up at the bottom of this hour. We'll talk some LSU baseball as well. Tigers hosting the Cajuns. Doug Thompson will be here in 90 minutes. Glad you're hanging out with us today. As we inch closer to the NFL draft next month, and certainly with NFL free agency in full swing, that first big wave of free agency is passed with the biggest names really off the board. Now it's sort of I hate to call it the bargain shopping, but you understand, like the next wave of free agents as you're filling out your roster. There's one position that we haven't spent a ton of time on with the New Orleans Saints that maybe it's starting to crystallize is actually going to be a pretty big need either in the second wave of free agency or in the NFL draft. Now, as you go position by position with the Saints, it's pretty understandable why they need everything, right? We've talked ad nauseum about quarterback, and there's a lot of discussion there, but financially they're stuck with Derek Carr for another year. Do you try to get some reinforcement behind him? Big question. We've had that convo. Running back's pretty obvious. You've got an aging Alvin Kamara. You've re-signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but Kendre Miller's future with the Saints very much up in the air. Seems like that's been a draft bust at this point. Obviously, you've got a need for a dynamic tight end. The offensive line last year was a revolving door of injuries and also not very good. Defensive end, interior defensive lineman, you were second worst in the NFL in rush defense. You were middle of the pack in sacks. You obviously saw one of your top cornerbacks in Paulson Adebo leaving free agency this year. You're old at safety. I mean, you added Justin Reed, and Tyron's still there, though. But point being, we've looked at every spot, and you could see why there's a need there. But we look at linebacker and go, well, you got DeMario Davis and Pete Werner, so you're pretty good there. But the more you look at the Saints' actions and some of the other circumstantial evidence, linebacker might actually be becoming more of a need spot. I'm not saying a must. Remember, there's musts and needs, and there's wants. I'm not saying linebacker's a must, but I think it's probably crystallizing to be more of a need. And there's two pieces of information, two circumstantial things that happened here over the last week that might illustrate that. One, not sure if you saw it, but Willie Gay last week signed with the Miami Dolphins. So the Saints, after Gay spent 4 years with the Kansas City Chiefs, had won a couple of Super Bowls, Saints signed Willie Gay last year. And he spent one season with the Saints, played in 15 games, had 28 tackles, was really a rotational player, as DeMario Davis and Pete Werner had outstanding seasons. DeMario had 136 tackles last year to lead the team. Pete Werner had 92 tackles. He was second on the team. So those two dudes really gobbled up most of the playing time. But Willie Gay was that veteran depth piece that they added. And we've seen the Saints do this over time, even with DeMario and Pete Werner in place. Of course, there was a time where you had Alex Anzalone as part of the linebacker rotation. Quan Alexander was another guy that the Saints added in a midseason trade in the COVID year. Then he got injured and, of course, was lost. They brought him back and kind of flirted a little bit. But Willie Gay was one of those guys. And now after one season in New Orleans, Willie Gay signs with the Miami Dolphins. So that really leaves a gap there. Because with Willie Gay now in Miami, after Davis and Werner, this is what you have left at linebacker. You got Jalen Ford, who you drafted a year ago. He's entering his second season. You've got Isaiah Stallbird, who is an undrafted free agent who they had cut, signed him back, going into his second season. Then you got young guys like Anthony Orji, Nafai Sewell, who are both going into their third seasons, and DeMarco Jackson, a former draft pick as well, going into his fourth season in the NFL. So you've got some numbers there, but none of those guys have been rotational players for you. Orji played in 16 games a season ago, but he was a special teamer and a backup rotational linebacker player. If you're looking at someone who can actually get on the field and give you a 3 linebacker rotation, none of those guys fits the bill, at least not today. Now, could they win a job? Sure. But you haven't seen it to this point. You'd certainly like to have a little bit of reinforcement, either from a high draft pick or from a veteran at that spot. And when you look at the two guys you have there in the forefront, their time in New Orleans, on its face, looks like it could be several more seasons, but maybe not. I'll remind you, we sat down at Super Bowl Media Row with DeMario Davis, and he told us in no uncertain terms how much longer he plans to play.
My goal is to do 3 more years, then I'm out of here, and I'm not planning on no drop-off going out of here. I would love to bring a Super Bowl to New Orleans, and that's what my focus is. And how do we get back to dominant defense and bring that Super Bowl here? And I believe that can be done inside of 3 years, and you want to go out on top. I mean, it can happen anytime. You know, it's like a guy says, it's time to go home, I'm going home. But I have to have my mindset to where it's like I'm not slowing down. I'm not trying to go out on the decline. I'm trying to go out on the incline. So I have to set if it's only 1 year left, I have to be able to see, additional year. Like I'm going to ball out this year and come back the next year. I can't be like, oh, this is the final. If anybody's like, this is the last year, you're not going to give it everything you got. Like you're going to be thinking about what's next. And so I don't want that to be me.
It's an interesting perspective from DeMario Davis, but he said he wants to play 3 more years. For what it's worth, Pete Werner is under contract through 2027. So he's not talking, he's got fake years, voidable years in the back of the contract, as everybody does, but he's got 3 legitimate years left, 25, 26, 27. So Werner's still there. DeMario says he wants to play 3 more years, but you also heard nothing's given. You're talking about a linebacker in his middle 30s and a guy in Pete Werner who has never played a full season in the NFL. He has never played a full 17 or 16 game schedule during his entire NFL career. So you have health and longevity questions that are fair with Pete Werner. So do you go look in free agency or do you look in the draft? Well, one name to keep an eye on is Nick Martin. If you don't know this name, Aaron Wilson of KPRC2 in Houston shared that the Saints have visited with Oklahoma State linebacker Nick Martin and were the only team to have a private workout so far with Martin. Now, Martin's a very interesting prospect because this was a dude who in 2023 was otherworldly, exceptional at Oklahoma State. He had 140 tackles. He had 16 TFLs, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. He was everywhere, all over the field in 2023 for Oklahoma State. In 2024, he misses almost the whole season with an injury. So you're talking about a guy who has been massively productive, but whose stock may be a little lower because he missed 24 with an injury. However, at the Combine, he went and ran a 4.53 in the 40. And my goodness, this thing that just jumped off the page that you know is going to be absolutely candy for Muse. What is it? Candy for the New Orleans Saints.
The relative athletic score?
Oh, baby. A 8.52 relative athletic score. Remember, that's out of 10. So you're talking about a dude north of 8.5 on the RAS. I mean, might as well start fitting him in that black and gold uni right now, bro.
Yeah.
Pick out your number, Nick. Anyway, the point being, I'm joking a little bit, but not really. You're talking about a dude that checks a lot of boxes. The one question, he's only 5'11", so he's a little bit of a shorter linebacker, 5'11", 221, but huge athleticism, huge upside, hugely productive. Coming off of an injury, do you find some value maybe in day 2 with a guy like Nick Martin? One worth keeping an eye on. But as we've seen the Saints go and add Radins, the offensive lineman from the Tennessee Titans, they've added Justin Reed at safety. Almost inexplicably, they gave Brandon Cooks a 2-year, $13 million contract for a guy that's been descending and decreasing production, declining over the last 3 years. Another small wide receiver who's not as good as the other two you have. Nonetheless, they've gone out. They made the trade for Devon Gottschall. They re-signed Chase Young. They re-signed Juwan Johnson. You can look around and see what they've done in free agency. The one spot they haven't addressed so far is linebacker. And while you feel good about your 2 starters, you got one guy in his mid-30s, another guy who's never shown the ability to stay healthy. And Willie Gay's gone. So do you address it in free agency with a veteran? Or do you go use maybe one of your top picks in the draft on a linebacker to fortify that spot, not only for depth this year, but to take the baton from the 2 guys that you have? Spot we haven't talked a bunch about, but we need to start. Linebacker could very well be a spot, and they're showing you. It's the only team to have a private workout so far with Nick Martin. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Evermore. Always got mine right here. Drink Evermore, better form of hydration. Oh, Nick Martin was also at the Senior Bowl. I mean, we're checking all the boxes, aren't we?
If the Saints don't draft him now, I'm going to be shocked.
It's an upset.
Yeah.
The Otters got minus 750 odds here.
Sounds right. Sounds about right.
On Nick Martin of the New Orleans Saints. Go order your personalized jersey from China right now. China. But don't drink water from China. Drink water from Evermore, the North Shore of Louisiana, right there in Covington. EVAMOR. You can order online, evermore.com, or available at great retailers. You want to find a retailer near you that has Evermore? Easy. Go to the website, hit the little hamburger menu, drop down, find a store, type in your area code or your zip code, excuse me. Your area code wouldn't do you any good there. You're not calling them. Your zip code is what you'd want. And they'll pop up the store locator near you at Evermore. Drink Evermore. EVAMOR, evermore.com. Okay, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Tuesday show's powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Matt Miller, ESPN NFL Draft Scout, coming up in 15 minutes. When we come back, we mentioned Joe Sloan met with reporters earlier today. He did talk a good bit about his quarterbacks as well. We'll let you hear what Joe Sloan had to say next on AFR.
AFR.
Man, y'all check out our friends over at Glow Resources, in particular if you're a business owner. In particular, if you're an operations manager, an HR manager, a hiring manager, if you're the person responsible for finding the people in your business to make your business more effective and efficient, you need Glow Resources. GlowResources.com, GlowResources.com, GLO, GlowResources.com. And listen, at Glow Resources, they're on Perkins Road is absolutely. If you've never seen their headquarters, they're on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge. But they're not just here in Baton Rouge. Yes, their headquarters are in Baton Rouge, but they've got offices in Houston, the Golden Triangle. That's Beaumont, Houston, Orange, Port Arthur, New Orleans, Miami, Orlando. They're everywhere, and they serve businesses not only in the United States, but all over the world. GLO, glowresources.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She says she's got a dream, and I ask what it is. She wants a little farm.
All right, Tiger baseball back on the diamond tonight against ULL. Doug Thompson will be here in hour number 3. Also, Jay Johnson on his radio show last night previewed the Cajuns. We'll get to that in a little bit. Also, a condensed schedule. Remember, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for LSU, Mississippi State this week. There was nobody closer on the LSU staff to Bryce Underwood than Joe Sloan. Sloan had basically taken up residence in Michigan as many times as he went to go see Bryce Underwood. They were close. Sloan was a major part of Underwood being committed to LSU for nearly a year. Well, when Joe Sloan met with reporters on Tuesday, it was the first time we've spoken to Joe since the whole Underwood thing went down, publicly anyway, on the record. Usually we'll get to talk to Joe at this point in spring and then once in fall camp as well. And Joe was asked if the Underwood flip is going to change the way they recruit the quarterback position, understanding you had so many resources invested into that player only to have the rug pulled out from underneath you 2 weeks before signing day.
Things happen, right? Things happen in college football, and you do what's best for the program. You make the decisions that are best for the program, and you rock and roll forward. We couldn't be more excited how everything worked out. I think Michael's done an excellent job. We may not have been in the same situation if that was the case, right? I couldn't be more excited about the future of the offense. So in terms of, recruiting, I think just in today's world of recruiting, every day's a new day. You just keep attacking that day. It's still all about relationships. You got to go with those first. Obviously, there's some external factors, but we can't worry about the things we can't control. We just got to continue to recruit to the best of our ability with our relationships, talking about LSU, talking about Coach Kelly's program, talking about the tradition of this place. And that's why you continually see excellent players committing to LSU.
I think two things can be true at the same time, but you heard a half truth there. When he said we couldn't be more excited about the way it worked out. Okay. Ain't nobody excited that Bryce Underwood's playing for Michigan right now. Okay? Nobody. All the resources that you invested into recruiting him, he had been committed for a year. Not only was he the top quarterback in the class, but he's one of those guys that everybody unanimously agrees is one of those, I don't want to use the term generational players because I think that's a bit overused, but the clear-cut, no doubt, number one player, best player in the last handful of years, had a decade or so to come out. He's on par with the Arch and the Trevor Lawrence and the ones that are like clear-cut, 5-star plus, no doubt, number one guy. And you had that dude committed, and he flipped. Like, you're not excited about the way that worked out. But I mentioned two things can be true. You can be disappointed with the way that happened, but you can also be excited about Michael Van Buren. And what you did was you went and made the best out of a really crappy situation. When you lost Underwood and then you had Ricky Collins and A.J. Swan transfer out of the program, you went and got a young guy that started 9 games in the SEC a year ago that you could see some real growth and developmental potential in Michael Van Buren. And here was Sloan talking about Van Buren on Tuesday.
Mike obviously played extremely well, did a lot of great things at Mississippi State last year. So when we had the opportunity to add him to our roster, we couldn't have been more excited. When he gets comfortable, when you've really seen it, we've seen it a lot this spring, his comfortability in the pocket is exceptional. I mean, it is exceptional. And I think that's a really huge talent for him. And then he can drive the football now. He can touch every piece of the field with his arm. I've really liked his growth. Some of the things that we do, he hasn't necessarily done, but he's a quick learner. Once he does it once and as he feels it, he's been able to make the adjustments and make the growth. I think both Tim Rattay and Trey Holtz and some of the different things they've been able to do. And that's a great part when you have great coaches. We're able to kind of split off and really focus on what the individual guys need. And I think that's helped Mike a ton.
He's only a little more than halfway through his first spring in Baton Rouge. So you are talking about a guy that is still learning this offense. So I'm not surprised to hear him say, he's learning, of course, but the other thing you mentioned there, you forget, is the Tim Rattay piece of it as well. You got a former NFL quarterback on staff now as an analyst in Tim Rattay who can work on the field with the quarterback. So he mentioned there's times where Rattay may take Van Buren and go work with him individually, which is an immense help as a guy like that continues to grow into himself. And then there's the Juwan Johnson piece. And I asked Joe Sloan about Juwan and the decision to move from running, but well, I mean, he was a cornerback and then the star, and then he's a running back and he was a quarterback. And Joe made it certain that this was something Juwan Johnson asked to do.
Juwan wanted to come back to quarterback. I couldn't be more excited to have him. He's obviously a different style of quarterback than maybe the other two guys. You're going to have to respect his feet. And, just working through him, I think you've seen his growth from a passing standpoint. He throws a good ball, but in terms of his read progressions and doing the things he needs to do. And then, just his footwork and commanding the huddle. I think he has great leadership skills. And obviously he's been electric with the ball in his hand. Made a couple big plays when we've been in live tackle situations. So I think he's been excited. He's been fun to coach. He's attentive, and he's getting after it.
It's going to be really hard for me. I'm editorializing completely here. It's going to be really hard for me to imagine Juwan Johnson sticking at quarterback for his entire LSU career. Again, I am editorializing. I'm not telling you something I know. Now, a lot of people have asked about Colin Hurley. It's my understanding that they do anticipate Colin Hurley coming back. I know that's kind of been a big question, which is, he had this car wreck. From what I understand, Colin Hurley is recovering great. Like, physically, he's doing very well, which is great to see. If you saw the photos of the car crash, it's jarring, right? But he's back home in Jacksonville, recovering very well, and they do expect him back. Certainly not in spring practice here, but they do expect Colin Hurley to be back with the team. So with that being the case, you'd look at Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren and Colin Hurley, and probably then Juwan Johnson, right? So it's hard to imagine how this may play out to where Juwan ends up playing quarterback at LSU, but maybe what it is happens to be that he carves a niche as a change of pace guy where you can have a package for him at the quarterback position, and someone who has ability to throw the football needs to learn how to function within this offense. You're Joe Sloan Slate. Like, he throws a pretty ball. It's just he's got to make the reads and the progression and learn all that at the college level. So it's a lot of ground he has to make up. But how they use Juwan Johnson will be interesting because he's far too dynamic a player. I mean, they moved him to running back, and in the first collegiate game he played at running back, he scored a touchdown. I mean, he's Louisiana's all-time touchdown and passing yardage leader in high school history in the state. I mean, it's jaw-dropping, the numbers he put up at LCA. So he's very capable, and he's dynamic with the ball. You got to find a way to use him, and that really is the onus on Joe Sloan in this offense here to find a way to get all these different weapons involved. But you'd rather have a lot of them than not a lot of them, and they got a lot of them in this year. Be interesting hearing Joe Sloan talk a little bit about the quarterback position. And, of course, you got Garrett Nussmeier at the front of it. I'm back for a 5th year, and Joe Sloan's now been with Garrett for 4 years, So from 22 all the way here through 25, I mean, 4 years together, they speak the same language as a position coach there with Joe Sloan, and now 2nd year as an offensive coordinator. Those two should have a great synergy together here in 2025. And that relationship is a big part, I think, of LSU's success that we're all anticipating this coming season. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad you're here. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll come back. ESPN draft analyst Matt Miller will jump aboard with us. Excited about this conversation. His newest big board is out. And Mason Taylor makes his debut on the big board. We'll ask him why next on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for, my goodness, 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. You can always go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or if you'd prefer, you can give him a buzz at 888-8888, 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Listen, at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, they do so many different creative things, not only to get their brand out there, but also to stay engaged with their clients. And we've talked plenty about The Garage, for example. It's their own long-form podcast studio that they've built out there at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Recently, they had a bunch of the LSU women's basketball athletes there for an episode. Of course, the Tigers are headed to the Sweet 16. But there's so much more than just that. More than 7,000 5-star Google reviews. They're the most reviewed law firm in Louisiana with more than 75,000 cases handled. Get Gordon and get it done.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Countdown to next month's draft up in Green Bay. Matt Miller, I presume, will be there, ESPN draft analyst. He's on Twitter at NFL Draft Scout. You'll give him a follow. He joins us now. Matt, we appreciate it. How are you?
We'll be there, and I'm hoping for warm weather in Green Bay in late April. We'll see.
April, you got to get lucky, right? I mean, late April in Green Bay, it's got to be okay, yeah?
That's my hope. We
right.
had good weather in Detroit last year, so fingers crossed.
Fair enough. Yeah, since the Combine, you put out your recent top 50 big board, and you got LSU tight end Mason Taylor making his debut at number 39 on the big board. What did you like about Mason that had him jump up into your top 50?
Yeah, I think he's just a prototypical NFL tight end, right? His ability to play in line, to play flexed out, big catch radius. I mean, he's such a smooth mover as well. So I am a big fan of his. I think, as the league goes to this kind of Y tight end position, he's ideal for that. And he's only going to continue to get better. I think as a blocker, he's only going to continue to get bigger as well. And I think that's going to help out his game a lot. But I am really just a fan of, watching him in person at the Senior Bowl, seeing him at the Combine. He's just an easy moving tight end prospect.
What's his ceiling in the draft?
As far as I think, late first is possible. That's if we see Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren fly off the board. I think more realistically, probably early round 2 is where I would expect to hear his name called.
The guy that probably is the more controversial prospect, I don't know, Matt, you may tell me different, but it seems like he's one of, if not the most controversial prospect in this class, is Will Campbell, because we've all assumed he's this prototype left tackle, and then you start to hear the buzz about the short arms or the lack of arm length, and so now is he a guard, is he a tackle, is he a top 10 pick, is he a top 20 pick? Where do you fall on the great arm length debate of 2025 with Will Campbell?
It's weird because it does matter, right? And a lot of folks want to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter," but there's not a tackle in the NFL with under 33-inch arms who's playing at a high level, right? It's really rare. And so I think that's something you have to take into account of, okay, can he, with his quickness, which is elite, can he beat really the threshold that has been set? Can he be better than anyone else who's been doing it? That's a big what if, right? I think that quickness that he showed at the Combine helps. It definitely answers some questions. But there will be teams that look at him and say, hey, 32-inch arms, you're probably going to be a guard. I think he could be great there. What helps Will Campbell is, fantastic person on and off the field. Only 2 sacks allowed the past 2 years. He's done that in the SEC. It's not like he's done this, in the MAC or something like that. So I think if you're a team that hasn't needed a left tackle, there's good tape of him playing left tackle for 2 years. If you're one of those clubs that really values arm length, then I think you have to look at him and say, okay, this guy could be an elite guard.
Is there a prospect on the LSU roster that maybe you're higher on than what the consensus seems to be around the draft scouting world?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a couple. I would say that I'm higher on Braden Swinson, who I think could be a really good edge in the NFL, whether he's playing as a stand-up or with his hand in the dirt. I have a early third-round grade on him right now, which, as far as I've seen, and I'm aware of my colleagues' rankings, that's the highest I think I've seen him. But I thought Savion Jones had a great year as well, and it's funny because they're they play off each other really well with the power of Jones and the quickness of Swinson are both really, really good players. I think they're both ideal for a 3-4 scheme, obviously. But I'm a big fan of Savion Jones in week 1. What do you have? 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a batted pass. I mean, he was all over the field for them. So it's a really talented LSU team. I mean, going to have several picks in each round, I would expect.
Matt Miller's with us at NFL Draft Scout on Twitter. X, I'll get him there. His latest big board's out at ESPN.com. You know, I'm interested also in Emory Jones as a guy who, before the season, Matt, had some first-round buzz, or maybe mid-late first-round buzz. Certainly seems to have fallen out. What happened with Emory this year that's maybe caused him to slip?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, like, what teams are looking for, right? Like, you start to look for quickness, things like that. Elite length, elite hand size. I mean, he's a power player. I like that about his game, but I do think he's one of those dudes just because of the lack of agility. You're looking at him and saying, okay, is he a guard? You know, to be 6'5", 312, you don't always see a lot of bend in his game, but the power that he plays with, his ability to control guys once he gets his hands on them, I think he could be a starting guard and a really good one. I have him ranked in the 70s, so I'm still a fan of his. I think sometimes, you know, we get excited about guys early and they don't take that next step. So it's not always that the early scouting reports were wrong necessarily. It's just that you're expecting a guy to improve from where he's at. Sometimes they stay where they are. And so you adjust that grade a little bit and say, like, okay, we thought if he took this next step, he would be a first-round pick or a top 50 pick. Didn't take that step, but still a really good player where he's at.
A couple more minutes here with Matt Miller, ESPN NFL Draft Analyst. You'll get him on Twitter at NFL Draft Scout. By the way, how did you get that Twitter handle? Were you like the second person on Twitter?
Yes, I think so. I always joke. I worked in marketing before I got my job at Bleacher Report in 2010. And it was like, okay, well, people are going to search on Twitter. They're going to search NFL Draft. I want them to find me. So, boom. It's funny. I do have people say I only got my job because of that Twitter handle, and I've worked in this industry for 15 years, so I don't think Twitter handle has that much power.
A Twitter handle might have a lot of power, Matt. Certainly not
right.
But that's a heady play for sure. A couple more for you. Actually, just for context, I'm curious, how much, like in your experience, when we go through this period, because I think a lot of fans looking, we talked about Will Campbell, for example. You got 3 years of elite level film of a player, but you have the Senior Bowl, and then you've got Pro Day, and you've got the Combine. Like, what is the value for teams in this process, right? Like, you've got the tape, but now you've got Pro Day, workouts, all that. What is the real value in this 2-month stretch here in February and March?
I told someone yesterday, I wish we were doing the draft this weekend because I think it's way too long. And the value is having time to bring guys in, like the pro days are happening right now. The private visits are going to happen in April. That's the value. It's way too long to overthink things. And I think it's happening to several guys in this draft. Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, Luther Burden, just 3 guys in the SEC right there who, if you just talk to anybody who watched college football, like, hey, are these guys good football players? Yeah, of course they are, right? We've seen them play at a high level for 3 years. Of course they're good football players, but we just have too much time to overthink things. And I keep a sticky note on my monitor. It's sitting right in front of me right now, and it says draft good football players because I think we do get carried away with 40 times an arm length and stuff that doesn't always matter as much as we think it does when we're in the middle of March.
It's great perspective. Before you go, let me get a thought on Jackson Dart because your colleague Mel Kiper mocked Dart to the New Orleans Saints. There's obviously a ton of people here who are very interested in that. Where do you fall on Jackson Dart, who seems to be racing up draft boards? 9 feels aggressive, but where do you fall on Dart?
9 feels aggressive, but he's a quarterback, so anything could happen, right? Ask Falcons fans about Michael Penix last year. My thing with Jackson Dart, I saw him in person against Arkansas. He threw for 515 yards, 6 touchdowns, and ran for another one. I walked out of that stadium in Fayetteville thinking, man, this guy might go in the first round. And it's funny, like, watching it happen since then. I have a round 2 grade on him, but if you want to find first round tape from Jackson Dart, it's out there. Like, you can find it. It's just that scheme it limits a lot. It makes things easy for him, but he has all the tools, and by all accounts, he's a great young man, and that's definitely going to help him in the draft process.
He is Matt Miller. Y'all get him on Twitter. It's easy to find him on Twitter. He's been around so long, it was still called Twitter back then. At NFL Draft Scout. He's Matt Miller from ESPN. Hey, man, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. I know it's a busy time, man. Thanks for making a few minutes.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate you guys having me on.
That's our pleasure. Matt Miller, very interesting about Dart. By the way, he has Jackson Dart in his big board rated 43rd overall. It just, gosh, it feels like such a reach. There's this conversation that I think we perpetually have about the draft, which is the player relative to the spot in the draft, which would equal the value. So, like, do I like Jackson Dart? Yeah, I do. Do I think Jackson Dart could be a good pro and a starter and potentially a great one? Yeah, I do. Do I want him at 9? No, I don't. Would I take him at 40? Like, if you told me the Saints were going to draft best available at 9, and maybe that's Mykel Williams, maybe that's Tyler Warren, maybe that's Teteroa McMillan, a lot of different options there, right? And they take Dart at 40, sign me up. I'm good with that. I would take that. Dart at 9. God, that feels aggressive. All right, we're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020. 924-2020. Remember, at the Williamson Eye Center, they got locations all over Greater Baton Rouge for your convenience, including location in the river parishes down in Lutcher, up in St. Francisville, Denham, Baton Rouge, right there on Bluebonnet on the Baton Rouge General Campus. Eye care, eyewear, eye surgery. So they do it all. You need your annual eye exam, Williamson Eye Center. You need to update your prescription on your contacts, glasses, or buy new frames or lenses, Williamson Eye Center. And then most importantly, if you want to ditch those contacts and glasses forever, like take that drawer of all of your contact lens crap and just throw it in, just dump it in the trash because you wake up in the morning and you can just see, the Williamson Eye Center can help. A refractive procedure, no matter your age or refractive issue, they got a solution. It's the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's Williamson, EYE.com. I didn't want to keep Matt too long. I know he's busy, and I appreciate the time. I didn't ask him about Cam Ward, who had his pro day. Yes, I thought it was probably more pertinent for us to get the question in about Jackson Dart than Cam Ward, because realistically, I don't think the Saints are going to have an opportunity to draft Cam Ward if he does, in fact, go number 1 overall. Matt Miller, for what it's worth, has Cam Ward ranked 14th on his big board, so the number 14 overall prospect. Cam Ward, after his pro day, if you haven't heard this yet, this is what Cam Ward told reporters that he told the Titans general manager at his pro day.
So I'm solidifying it today. They finally got to see me throw in person. That should be all they need to see. But at the end of the day, whether they want to give it the pick or not, I'm going to be happy with whatever team I go to. So I'm just trying to play football.
Man, I think Cam Ward is a terrific player. If I'm sitting at number 1, even if I need a quarterback, I'm not reaching for a quarterback. If I'm sitting at number 1 and I have a chance to take the best player in the draft, take the best player in the draft, because you will never regret taking the best player in the draft. You could certainly regret reaching for a quarterback. I mean, I understand trusting your scouting, but think about the Bears taking Mitchell Trubisky 2 overall, or the Jets taking Zach Wilson 2 overall, or the Niners taking Trey Lance 3 overall. I mean, if you're convicted about C.J. Stroud at number 2, if you're convicted about Jaden Daniels at number 2, Caleb Williams at number 1, Joe Burrow at number 1, cool. If you got to convince yourself on it, it's probably not the option. Like, we knew months in advance the Bears were taking Caleb Williams number 1. Like, that was never really a consideration. He was always going to be the guy. And it feels like if you're going to take a quarterback at number 1, it's got to feel like you always know he's the guy. Now, whether that proves to be the right decision or not, certainly time will tell. Good luck, Tennessee. It's one of those years where I wouldn't want to. You know when I want to have number 1? When Anthony Davis is the number 1 pick. I want number 1 when Zion's the number 1 pick. And you can debate in time, like whether it was the right decision or not, how their career plays out. But when you know you got the number 1 pick, and everybody, the second you got that pick, you know whose name you're writing on the card instantly. That's the year you want number 1. This ain't that year. All right, it's after further review. We'll not got to break. Muse will have Tigers and the pros when we come back. Got an update on that Les Miles lawsuit against LSU about the whole College Football Hall of Fame thing. I got a reaction to that. We'll get to it in 15 minutes. It's AFR.
After further review.
We are brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where they are. Siegen Air Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local. And my goodness, what a time to get by Clegg's Nursery. And yes, I tell you every single day about the flowers and the plants and the trees and the shrubs and everything they got. The best selection of everything. But you know what else they've got? They've got Amdro Fire Ant Killer for those ant mounds. That's right. If you're getting out in your lawn, your garden, you realize you got weeds popping up. You got ant hills popping up. All the things that start to pop up when spring starts to sprung, Clegg's can help get all those unwanted intruders out of here. So get on by Clegg's Nursery. Of course, tell you all the time about their mosquito repellent as well. It's at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Buy local, shop local. Been doing it for 60 years. Tell them Matt sent you into Clegg's Nursery.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile bank.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Doug Thompson here, about 40 minutes from right now. Preview LSU, ULL out at the box. Right now, the Muso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Final day of Major League Baseball spring training on Tuesday. Opening day Thursday. Everybody get excited. March 27th. That does mean most of the Tigers.
Excited.
Huh?
I am not excited.
You're not excited. I can understand. Most of the former Tigers have either been reassigned to where they will go in minor league baseball to start the year or making the opening day rosters. Josh Smith was in action, though.
Take that, Shea Dixon. Tell me about all the Hattiesburg High guys playing in Major League Baseball. Huh, you jerk? I love Shea. He's not really. He's great.
Golly,
great.
There's probably a few.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head.
Right.
Southern
I'm sure
Miss
there
had
are.
to have a couple
Hey, tell
guys.
me all the St. Michael's players in Major League Baseball. Like, it's so commonplace just to have dudes in Major League Baseball.
Well, there aren't any of those, but I'm just saying. I mean, there's a pretty good college baseball program that might, get some guys from Hattiesburg High. It's in Hattiesburg. They've put some guys in the show.
Sure.
So, I mean, just
Sure.
saying it's possible.
Sure.
You don't have to go and attack me, my alma mater. I wouldn't even bring them up.
Well, you're out there talking junk like, oh, it's so common. I'm sure they've got guys.
I don't think I ever said it was common.
You're like, I'm sure they've got guys.
Anyway, Josh Smith, 1 for 3 on Monday. Followed that up back in the lineup again today, 0 for 1, but did draw a walk. So he'll wrap his spring at 208. That's irrelevant. We'll see if he can have another all-star worthy campaign here in 2025. His roster spot not in any jeopardy with the Texas Rangers. DJ LeMahieu, this is interesting because you'll remember 3 weeks ago, we told you he had a grade 1 or 2 left calf strain. That's what he told reporters 3 weeks ago. Said he couldn't put an exact timetable on it. All he said was it's going to be, quote, a little bit. Well, there's been no update for 3 weeks. Safe to assume that DJ LeMahieu will not be able to start the season on the Yankees opening day squad, but we'll see how long it takes him to get back. Really rooting for that man because tough injury season a year ago for DJ as well there in the pinstripes.
Hey Siri, text Shea Dixon.
I didn't want to speak, and Siri picked my voice up, so I was waiting.
Stop talking. Go do your thing. I got my thing that I'm doing right now.
Huh?
Hey, Shea, has Hattiesburg High ever had a player in Major League Baseball?
Trendon Watford, 28 minutes off the bench, and had to go for the Nets. 12 points, 4 assists, 5 of 9 from the floor. Really solid. Cam Thomas back on the bench with the left hamstring play. Did another DNP. That's, I believe, 3 in a row here for Cam Thomas. And last but not least, Naz Reid. You're distracted.
Should have stayed.
There we go. 20-point night.
I can say it at any point during the Naz Reid read that I want, by the way.
The Naz Reid read.
It's my show. I can do whatever I want.
20 points, 3 boards.
That's a homophone.
Yeah, that's the one that
sounds the same,
but it's spelled differently. Correct, yes.
Homonym.
Backwards, right? Spelled the same
No,
backwards?
that's a palindrome.
A palindrome.
Front and back. Homonym is when spell the same, different meaning.
I like palindromes. Those are fun. He was 50% from 3-point. Is
what about
Naz Reid?
onomatopoeia? You remember onomatopoeia?
Yeah.
You know what onomatopoeia is?
I don't, but I know the word.
Awesome.
It's a fun word to say.
Onomatopoeia is when you spell a sound like whoosh or woof or meow.
Oh,
that's
okay.
onomatopoeia.
Like meow? All right. Anyway, I think Naz Reid's going to win 6th Man of the Year again. That's Tigers in the pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, thrill her with a gift in the red box. Maybe the springtime when the weather gets nicer is when you're going to get down on bended knee, profess your undying love, and ask for her hand in marriage. Well, before you do that, go see our friends at Lee Michaels with 9 locations. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. You can always learn more online. You can shop online. But really what you want to do is go have that Lee Michaels experience. When you walk through the door, they do such an amazing job of making you feel comfortable. No matter what you're looking to buy or how much you're willing to spend, they're going to give you that Lee Michaels experience so you feel comfortable and joyful walking through the door and with your purchase. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. Jay Johnson had his radio show last night, and he did talk about the condensed schedule this week with a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series against Mississippi State.
You know, they do a lot of recovery stuff, with some physical therapists, and then using the new, $1 billion football recovery center that we have over there, which is great. And then tomorrow we have a really good home night game routine that we'll get back into with some individual work with some guys throughout the day. It's not just show up at 6:30 and play. Most of them are there by 12:30 or 1 o'clock, and getting some things done, and then get into our routine and really just focus on the game tomorrow. And then we'll be really specific with Wednesday, only having one day between the midweek and the weekend as far as how we'll do that. We've certainly played a lot on Thursday over the last few years because everybody wants the Tigers on TV. So I feel like we have a good handle on what we need to do with that situation.
It's going to be interesting tonight in particular with what arms you use, because if you're setting up your pitching for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you want to be mindful of who you throw in this ball game tonight that you may need with a short turnaround with one day in between. I can't imagine that anybody is going to extend too long tonight that they feel might pitch this weekend. You got to be mindful of arms, pitch count, so you're ready to roll this weekend with Mississippi State coming in. Hour 3 next.
After further review.
Brought by Supper Club. Was over there on Sunday night. Had a great night. Now, of course, they're not usually open on Sunday, but they were at a special opening for Fork Cancer, benefiting the American Cancer Society. Great fundraising. It was a lot of fun to be there and have a good night out. But look, maybe tonight's the night. They're back open here on Tuesday. You're knocking off of work, looking for maybe a place to go grab a cocktail with coworkers, a glass of wine. You could pop into Supper Club. You can always schedule your reservation online at supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. Remember, open seating at the bar. It's important to remember, open seating at the bar. So you can always just walk in, belly up to the bar at a bar stool. Maybe, if you're lucky, grab a table in the bar area so you could sit and have dinner. Or you got a celebration coming up. Celebrating a graduation next month. Maybe it's an anniversary or birthday. The only place that you want to celebrate, of course, is the best place to celebrate. It's Supper Club. Book those reservations online at supperclubbtr.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Stanford has fired football coach Troy Taylor. Last week, ESPN reported that 2 outside firms found he bullied and belittled female athletic staffers in 2023 and 2024. While it appears J.J. McCarthy is QB1 for the Vikings entering OTAs, they did watch Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones sign elsewhere this offseason and ended discussions with Aaron Rodgers for now. McCarthy told the Up and Adams show on FanDuel TV he hasn't been told he's Minnesota's starter, and he doesn't mind at all. Pro Football Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp.
You don't got to tell me. I'm going to go prove it. I don't need you to tell me. When I leave the field after the first couple of days of practice, I'll be quarterback one, and they'll announce it. I don't need you to tell me anything. I'm going to go prove it. I'm going to go prove why you took me with the pick that you selected me and why you felt comfortable letting Sam Darnold move on. You ain't got to tell me nothing.
Baseball Mariners and Platinum Glove-winning catcher Cal Raleigh agreed on a 6-year, $105 million extension. Righty Ryan Johnson made the Angels' opening day roster, will be just the 3rd player since 2001 to play in the majors without a single minor league appearance.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. And now a no-frills ad brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Here it is. You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's it. See? Just a good old-fashioned, straightforward ad. See if you could save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sir. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Doug Thompson here at the bottom of this hour. Shea Dixon was here in hour 1. Matt Miller, ESPN NFL draft analyst. Last hour, you missed anything, of course, AFR On Demand, presented by Breck Golf. You can get it on YouTube or podcast. If you want LSU content, AFR LSU. You want Saints content, AFR Saints. Search it. You'll see it right there. Interesting story that we'll update. We always tell you as a story develops, we'll keep you up to date. And this is one of those instances. A Louisiana District Judge Ronald Johnson dismissed claims made by former LSU coach Les Miles. They dismissed his lawsuit against LSU, the NCAA, and the National Football Foundation over the decision made to vacate 37 wins from his time at LSU. The lawsuit was filed about a year ago, and well, I shouldn't say it wasn't a full year. It was September, so I guess 6 months ago, about half a year ago. And if you don't recall how all this went down, basically with the LSU football investigation from the Vidal Alexander stuff, where his dad was paid for a no-show job, part of the punishment is that LSU accepted vacation of wins from that time, 37 wins. So LSU vacated 37 wins. It's the general, slap on the wrist that LSU got from that whole years-long saga. The NCAA accepted the bowl ban in 2020, and I think they had lost a scholarship or two for a couple of years, something they vacated 37 wins. It was a relative slap on the wrist. Well, vacating those wins reduced Les Miles's record to 108-73, putting him at a .597 winning percentage. The minimum requirement for the College Football Hall of Fame is you have to win 60% of your games. So he's a tick below that number with these vacation of wins. On the field, more than qualifies. And I know some of you are going to roll your eyes and say that, and I'm going to stop that conversation dead in its tracks. Les Miles is a Hall of Fame college football coach on the field. He won a national championship. He played for another. He won 2 SEC titles, played for a third. On the field, he won over 60% of his games. He was, in a dozen years at LSU, staring at the greatest coach any of us have ever seen, won at a clip few others did in that era in the same division as Nick Saban. Yes, Les Miles on field is a Hall of Fame coach. Take all of the idiosyncrasies and all the other stuff and put it aside. You can say what you want. But his resume, he is a Hall of Fame coach. And we know what happened with Les. Got fired at LSU a month into 2016. He resurfaces at Kansas, where he was hired by Jeff Long. And then March of 2021, LSU released a report that found that, as the report said, Les had acted inappropriately with student workers during his tenure. 3 days after that, he was fired at Kansas. So he was fired at Kansas for what allegedly came out during his time at LSU. And then later, for something completely unrelated, he had wins vacated. That was the nature and the focus of this lawsuit. And I'm oversimplifying it, but Les's attorneys basically said Les never got to have his day in court. LSU accepted these penalties, and Les never got to tell a side of the story, and so now he's not eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. I'm going to reiterate, because I don't think any of you will remember what I said about this in September, and my feeling on this hasn't changed. I think Les Miles is fighting in the wrong courtroom. Les Miles shouldn't be fighting in a literal courtroom with attorneys and legalities. Les Miles should be crafting a public opinion campaign and fighting this in the court of public opinion. In the same way that for more than a decade, almost 2 decades actually, Reggie Bush did to get his Heisman Trophy back. Because when I tell you the nature of what cost Les Miles these wins and ultimately his opportunity to be a College Football Hall of Famer in the context of NIL and the transfer portal, it's laughable. Vidal Alexander's dad got paid $180K for a no-show job. Yo, there's a backup quarterback on LSU's team right now making more than double that this season. I mean, we can all of us, I don't care what you think, I don't care who your favorite team is, who you cheer for, what you think about Les Miles. Like put that on a shelf for a second and think about the absurdity of what I just said. That some kid's dad got paid for a no-show job, and so a worthy coach is not going to be eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame because a booster was funneling money to a player's parent for a no-show job. That's stupid. Just like it was stupid for Reggie Bush to be stripped of his Heisman Trophy when we all saw him play and he was outstanding. And because his parents were put up in a really nice home in San Diego or whatever it was, don't care. And neither should you. And you can tell me anything you want about the rules at the time or whatever. That's like, man, you put someone in jail for 20 years because they sold marijuana. Like half the states in this country, it's legal now. What are we doing? Like punishment fit the crime sort of thing. Like, we can all acknowledge there are common sense realities that need to come forward. But Les Miles filing a lawsuit and trying to take this make this a legal matter, I think only casts more negativity upon him in the public light. If instead Les had a PR firm that was helping generate goodwill around him and the nature, because Les was a beloved character in college football, wasn't he? I mean, he was the Mad Hatter. You know, the iconic white hat and the purple pullover, and eating the grass on the sideline and the weird syntax and everything. I mean, he was one of college football's, at that time, great characters. And he won a lot and should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. But you're not going to win any favor by trying to sue LSU and the NCAA and the NFF. Like, you should be trying to rally people to your cause to get a groundswell of support to say, hold on, you gonna tell me this guy is ineligible for the Hall of Fame because some kid's dad got paid for a no-show job 15 years ago and now backups are making hundreds of thousands of dollars? What are we talking about? There is an absurdity associated with that, unless Miles should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. I think he's just going about it the wrong way. So Miles' attorney said they're going to pursue an appeal, see what happens with it. I hope Les gets in the College Football Hall of Fame. I do. All the stuff that he was alleged, the inappropriate relationship with the student worker, I have no idea. I mean, I read all the same stuff you did. He disputes it. It's very much a he said, she said. There's a total lack of evidence. None of this would ever stand up in a court of law. Whatever. I don't mean to be dismissive of somebody's claims of alleged abuse. I just have no way of knowing, and neither do you or any of us. But I also think none of that should have any bearing whatsoever on whether or not the guy gets into the College Football Hall of Fame. And he has a very worthy resume as a coach to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. And I hope there's a sensibility that goes along with this. And by the way, something else that Miles' attorney said is that 15% of the inductees have received exceptions in the past. So it's not unprecedented to grant him an exception. It's actually relatively commonplace if it's happened to 15% of the inductees. It's more than 1 out of 10. More than 1 out of 10 have been granted an exception. So there's precedent for it. He's worthy. Yeah, he needs to go in the College Football Hall of Fame. And I know that's all he wants in this situation. Les doesn't need money or anything like that. He's protecting his legacy. As a guy that gave his life to football, he's worthy, and that's what he's looking out for here. And I hope he gets it, candidly. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Love telling you about our friends over at Sunshine. Bunkie and below, you want a Deere, you want Sunshine. They are going to be, by the way, at the Louisiana Sportsman Show in Laplace this week. So come take advantage of the show specials and enter to win a Turtle Box. And not too early to start thinking about your outdoor power equipment. Their battery-powered brand, Ego, for blowers, trimmers, chainsaws. You can get that at 50% off any handheld or walk-behind tool when you purchase a John Deere riding mower. So check it out right now at Sunshine, sunequip.com, SunEQUIP, sunequip.com. Okay, it's after further review. Doug Thompson here at the bottom of this hour. Last hour, we talked a little bit about the New Orleans Saints holding a private workout for a linebacker prospect. We now know of another one of their top 30 visits. Remember, NFL teams get only 30 visits, basically like an official visit where you can bring a prospect to your facility. You only get 30 of those in the draft process. We now know another one of them. We'll tell you who it is next on AFR.
AFR.
Okay, y'all, it's time to give River City's 1 Hour Air a call. Do it. Get out your phone. Get out your phone. You know I'm going to do it for you. Hey, Siri, call River City's 1 Hour Air. Wonder how many people's phones just called right then. You can thank me later. People tell me all the time when I do that, their phones buzz. Their Siri's buzz. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. You see them all over town. I cannot recommend this highly enough, y'all. You got to do this. It's March. This is the time to do it. To get your AC tune-up, the preseason AC tune-up. This is the time to have River City's 1 Hour come out to your house. They're going to clean your AC. They're going to make sure it's running efficiently. If there's a small issue, they'll recommend how to fix it, because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you take care of small repairs and maintenance so the life of your unit extends. Don't let little issues become very big, very expensive issues. River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
One of the things I've learned over the years of Jimmy Ott coming on the show, especially as it pertains to the NFL draft, is there is no real value in betting the NFL draft anymore because the information is so good now. So the odds makers have adjusted. Everybody knows who's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. Like everybody knows, what position is being targeted. The info is just too good now. So the odds makers adjust accordingly, and there just isn't value. So I saw this today where at DraftKings, Shadur Sanders is now the favorite to go number 3 overall. That, of course, would be the New York Giants. And he's almost an even money favorite. Cam Ward is a heavy favorite to go number 1. Abdul Carter is the favorite to go number 2. And then Shadur is the favorite to go number 3. If it's not Shadur at 3, the next best odds is Travis Hunter at 3. So we'll see ultimately how this all plays out. And the closer we get to the draft, all of this will become overwhelmingly obvious who the picks are going to be. But I just look at it from a Saints perspective, and I think it's unlikely that you're going to have an opportunity to take Ward or Sanders. But just like a year ago, you wanted all those quarterbacks coming off the board because you knew the Saints weren't drafting a quarterback. So with every pick that passed and teams were taking quarterbacks, wasn't it 5 quarterbacks that went before 5 or 6 that went before the Saints were drafted? It was just another great player falling to you because you weren't in the mix for a quarterback. I think of it similarly. You'd almost love to see Jackson Dart catapult his way somewhere into the top 10 and come off the board ahead of the Saints. It just means another great player is going to fall to New Orleans. So something worth keeping an eye on, but right now all the betting odds have Shadur going 3. So Cam Ward, it would go Ward, then Abdul Carter, and then Shadur 3. So we'll see. We'll keep that close we'll keep it in close eye as we move closer to the draft next month. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing, parrishbuilt.com. The New Orleans Saints hosted another top 30 visit. I'll get to that in just a second. Yesterday the weather was horrendous, especially in the morning. We had flash floods, heavy wind, a high wind, heavy rain. If you had or think you might have had roof damage, give us a shout at parrishbuilt.com. Parrishbuilt.com. Go to the website, homepage. You'll see the Kim Mulkey video right there. We've done tons of work for Coach and our family over the years. You can fill out the form on the homepage. You can give us a shout if you'd rather talk to somebody. Not just residential, by the way. Matt Pearson's our commercial roofing manager. We hired Matt away from out of the state of Florida and moved him here. He's that impressive. There's not a single thing that he doesn't know about roofing. It's crazy. I know that was double negative. But anyway, parrishbuilt.com. Roof repairs, roof replacements. We can help finance your roof. We can even help finance your deductible. So don't let ability to pay get in the way. We got options for you. Do business with someone you know. Parrish Construction and Roofing. Parrishbuilt.com. The New Orleans Saints, we now know, are hosting another of their top 30 visits. Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network is reporting that the Saints have brought in Minnesota left tackle Ariante Ursary for a top 30 visit. Actually, they did this earlier this month. The Kansas City Chiefs also brought in Ursary for one of their top 30, and he's got several more scheduled with 6 other teams leading up to the April 16th deadline. Again, if you're not familiar, teams can bring 30 players, a max of 30 players, to their facility for individual workouts and meetings and all that sort of stuff. So it's called your top 30. So it's a pretty good indication if a team is going to fly you to their facility that they like you a lot and they want to get a closer look at you as a possibility of drafting. Ursary is an interesting one because he is a pretty rare athlete. 6'6", 331. So he's a massive offensive tackle. 6'6", 331. And at his best season, he's known, because of his size, he's known as a really good run blocker, if you look at his scouting report. But this season, 419 pass protection snaps, 1 sack. That's in the Big Ten, y'all. It's not like he was this oversized dude playing way above his competition level in the Sun Belt. No disrespect to the Sun Belt, but just in a G5 or something like that. He was playing in the Big Ten and allowed 1 sack and 419 snaps. Depending on which draft service you look at, he's projected potentially as like a late first-round pick. But remember, the Saints pick at 40, so this could be someone you're looking, if he slides into round 2 at number 40, this could be a target for New Orleans. And I'll tell you, you probably, like, my thought initially was, well, I mean, you drafted Taliesin Fuanga last year, and he was your left tackle, started every game for you at left tackle. And you've got Trevor Penning, who was a first-round pick. You kicked him over to the right side, and he actually became really durable for you and started every game at right tackle this year. So it feels like you got your bookends figured out. And you went and signed Dylan Radins just a week ago at left guard, or at former second-round pick of the Titans, a young veteran here, and could very likely slide in at left guard as a replacement for Lucas Patrick, who's gone. And so maybe you think, you don't need an offensive lineman. And I get that. But the lesson in that conversation I learned back in 2017 that maybe you all did as well, if you agree with me, and it was the Ryan Ramczyk situation. Remember, you had your franchise left tackle in Teron Armstead, and you had Zach Strief at right tackle. Now, Zach Strief wasn't a Hall of Fame player or anything like that. He wasn't an all-pro player. But he was your bookend right tackle. I mean, he was your right tackle on the Super Bowl team and was, a guy. Never mind. Stinchcomb was the right tackle of the Super Bowl team. Forgive me. But after Stinchcomb came Strief, who was a 7th-round pick, and ended up winning that job and was an anchor for you at right tackle. Well, if you remember what happened, they draft Ramczyk 32 overall. That was the Brandon Cooks trade. They send Cooks to New England. They get the number 32 pick. And as a result, they've taken Ryan Ramczyk, in a year where they had starting offensive tackles and used a first-round pick on a guy that was likely going to be a backup. What happened in camp? Zach Strief tears his ACL. He's out for the season. His career was over. And Ryan Ramczyk ended up becoming a stalwart, became the best right tackle in football at that point. And was a perennial All-Pro and on a Hall of Fame trajectory until injuries have clearly cut his career short. So in time, the Hall of Fame will decide what they do with a guy like Ramczyk, who was on that path, but his career was cut short. But I think of it in these terms. No, you don't need an offensive tackle at 40. But the Saints think highly enough of Ariante Ursary to bring him in for a visit, knowing full well where his draft projection is. And if that dude's on the board at 40 and you pull the trigger, well, what that gives you is options. Yeah, you signed Dylan Radins to a deal as a free agent, but it's a one-year deal. Very similar to what you just did with Lucas Patrick last year. And maybe he just becomes a good veteran backup for you. Maybe you draft a guy like Ursary who starts for you at right tackle and you move Trevor Penning to left guard. Or maybe Penning stays at tackle and Ursary wins the starting left guard job as a rookie. Now you got a young left side of the line with Fuanga and Ursary. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I guess what I'm saying is I wouldn't let the fact that you've got 2 first-round picks at tackle and you just signed Radins in free agency and you've still got Ruiz and McCoy on the interior. Like, I wouldn't let that, all the draft capital investment in that position, deter you from taking another offensive lineman. And even that little walk down memory lane, that little revisionist history, notwithstanding, look at last year. Everybody on your offensive line, except Penning, ended up missing time due to injury. So, yeah, you need depth and guys that can maybe give you quality depth and be a starting caliber player. So I'm not opposed to it just because you seemingly have those spots locked up. If you've got great value at a premium position like offensive tackle, sitting for you there at 40 and you like this player, take him. Oh, by the way, the clincher potentially here for the clincher for Ariante Ursary. You want it?
I want it. What we got? Come on.
You want it?
I want it.
What do you think it is?
Oh, I think it's his relative athletic score.
Oh, my goodness. Muse is riding the heater today. My guy just been on one today. 937 on the relative athletic score. Talking about Nick Martin last hour, the linebacker from Oklahoma State. He was at an 8.52, and that's it. Remember, it's on 1 to 10. 937.
Man.
Let's go.
At 6'6".
331.
Whoo.
Forget number 40 music.
Yeah.
They might be pulling the trigger at 9.
They might be.
They might be trading up to 1 to take him.
Was this guy at the Senior Bowl?
I
mean, if he was, it's a lock. Lock, I tell you.
You know, you could talk.
Yeah, well, I was checking to see where you were. No, I was checking to see where you were on your screen up there.
God.
My bad.
He was there.
Lock.
Oh, my goodness.
Lock it in.
Look at this.
We need Otter to give us some odds on this one.
Ariante Ursary at the Senior Bowl. Senior Bowl. Relative athletic score 932. If only played at Ohio State. I mean,
I'm mad at myself for not going there as well. Dang it.
Doug Thompson next. Talk a little LSU baseball at AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel, the Renaissance Hotel, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Y'all, Renaissance is gorgeous, man. If you've never been to Renaissance Baton Rouge, why not? Chances are you have been, just because somebody has held an event at Renaissance that you've been to. Maybe it's one of ours. I mean, we've done the launch party for LouisianaSports.net. A couple of years ago, we partnered with our friends at Mockler and had a game watch for the opening night of LSU baseball out on the terrace at Tallulah. Be it indoor, outdoor, maybe it's a corporate board meeting for a dozen people. Their grand ballroom can host 500 people. So if it's a fundraiser, if it's an awards banquet, if it's a wedding reception, no matter the event, no matter the size, our friends at the Renaissance Baton Rouge would love to host you. Allison Crump always says it. We're in the business of saying yes. So they will manipulate their space to make it fit your event. Check them out today. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Teach me how to Dougie. Can only mean one thing. Little midweek action at the box. Had a great time to talk to the Dugger, Doug Thompson, former Tiger champion, with us. You'll hear him on the LSU Sports Radio Network tonight as the Tigers and the Red Peppers get together out at the box. Dugger, how are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah.
The intro, I guess it'll just never get old. You know, it's one of those things.
There are certain things iconic, like Steve Spurrier's visor, Jim Tressel's vest, Les Miles' white hat, and Teach Me How to Dougie whenever we bring Doug Thompson on to the radio. Why would we do anything else? What's the old saying, Dugger? If it ain't broke,
don't fix it, I guess, right?
Don't fix it, dog. I mean, tell me you didn't just start bobbing your head a little bit.
For sure, every time. It gets me every single time.
Me too. Hey, they're going to start Jaden Newt tonight. I thought maybe after his performance last week, they might give him a look at the weekend. You know, they're looking for reliable arms there. Any idea how much length they might expect to get out of Newt tonight? They can let him go?
What did he go last week? 60?
Do you know the pitch count?
60 or 70?
I think it was 57.
Yeah, right at 60. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him extend a little past that, 75 pitches or so, 80 pitches. I think what matters is that LSU starts to get ahead in the count a little bit more just as a whole. So the starters can get a little deeper into the game, right? So Newt would be one of those guys in my mind that would be debuting for a potential starting spot or at least some time on the weekend. And I think he did great last week. Looking forward to another good outing from him this week.
I mean, Duggar, I would have thought. I mean, look, if he goes 6. But we're getting a little echo. Muse, can you hang up and maybe just dial him right back? I don't know what's causing that, but I know I'm hearing it, so I'm sure our listeners are hearing it. We're going to call Doug right back. I don't know if y'all were hearing that. I know I was, so I'm sure y'all are hearing it as well. But I want to get Doug back because if you let Newt extend tonight, and especially being a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, if you let Newt extend beyond 60 pitches tonight, it's unlikely that you would have him at any point for the weekend. And if you're looking for guys that are reliable and can consistently throw strikes, then he would seemingly be one of those guys who's earned the opportunity, maybe on the weekend. But if you burn him tonight, then you wouldn't obviously bring him back on such short notice. The lineup is posted. I'll run through this with Doug Thompson as well. Not that dissimilar from what you'd expect in the midweek. You'll have Aaron Beatty behind the plate, Braswell at third. We got Doug back. Doug, I was just asking about Newt. The point being, if you did let him extend tonight, then he'd be burned for the weekend. Would it make sense to maybe not let him extend as much tonight so you'd have the option of using him out of the bullpen this weekend if you needed it?
For sure. I mean, for sure, that makes a lot of sense to me, especially with how well he's been throwing the ball. So if we didn't see him get past the third inning, I mean, that's the obvious reason why, because he wants to have Newt as an option.
What about guys like Ware and Schmidt, guys who you really expected were going to have big roles on the weekend? They've struggled. Are those guys they might get work tonight as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see those guys. I mean, I don't think you'll see any of the weekend starters, obviously. I don't think you'll see Zach Cowan. I don't think you'll see Casey Evans. It's almost easier to work backwards from just the process of elimination. But those two you mentioned, probably two suspects to get some activity tonight, especially William Schmidt, get him back on the horse and feeling good about things. But Connor Ware, kind of the same thing. But yeah, all those names, Matt, make a lot of sense to me for tonight's game.
Doug, when you have a short turnaround, right, so you're going to play on Tuesday, you'll have basically an off day Wednesday, and then you're starting the series on Thursday. Does it change, or how does it change what Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske might do, not only in the mound, but in the lineup tonight as well?
Well, I don't know about tonight. Do you mean this weekend or tonight?
Yeah, no, I mean,
how they're going to go about it tonight?
Yeah, does it change how you approach tonight, knowing you got a quick turnaround to Thursday?
Yeah, I think you saw Aaron Beatty in the lineup. You're going to see him in the lineup tonight. Maybe to give Hernandez a little bit of rest, maybe to see if, Aaron Beatty can find the barrel a couple times, get some more options. Again, you'll see Michael Braswell. I don't know if this is a sign that Braswell is going to start midweek games and maybe be a defensive replacement on the weekends for Reeves' bat early in the game, but Braswell is going to start tonight. Again, maybe to try to get him going offensively. Otherwise, the biggest difference I noticed was Ethan Fry in the 4 spot tonight, other than Pearson, which I'm sure means it's a matchup type thing, or maybe just some more opportunities for Ethan Fry to solidify that designated hitter role. So maybe those are some things they're looking for tonight. I feel like there's 4 or 5 guys that are in there, and they're in their spots that they'll be in the rest of the year. And in terms of pitching, I think that if they're thinking about Jaden Newt being part of the weekend, then we won't see him for 5 innings tonight. We'll see him for 3. And then the other guys that you mentioned just make a lot of sense to see if they can figure something out and get a little more comfortable heading into this short league.
Doug Thompson's with us at DT9Tigers on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Give him a follow there. With the lineup tonight, they have used a lot of different varieties, Doug, and it's something that I think a lot of coaches do. But is there a point where you feel like you kind of got to settle on who your 9 are going to be?
I think so. I mean, or maybe that number is more like 11. I think that's a safe number when you're talking about DHs and matchups and things of that nature. But, I think you're trying to get to a point where you get 9 to 11 guys pretty comfortable with their roles and knowing what to expect every day when they wake up in the morning and not having to wait to get to the field and see the lineup card. So I think that's starting to form, right? We're starting to see Curiel at the top every game. Jones is hitting 2. Dickinson's hitting 3. Milan's going to be somewhere in the 5 or 6 spot. So some of those things are starting to define themselves. But obviously, I mean, the best lineups are the ones that everybody, all the fans can fill in before they get to the ballpark. And that would be the best case scenario. But I feel like the number's 11 because there's always an injury and there's always a slump looming right around the corner.
Hey, Duggar, go to your forte, which is obviously the pitching staff, and I think it's been talked about ad nauseum right now. They got to find guys that can throw strikes. If you're on that pitching staff right now, I mean, what are you doing? Like, how do you improve command and things like that when you're already 2 weeks into conference play now?
I don't really have any access to their program. How do they throw bullpens, right? Are they going to throw 5 fastballs on the outside corner and then move the catcher to the other side of the plate and then throw 10 curveballs for a strike and then bounce 10? It's a great question. Like, what's changed from the beginning of the year where they had 50 strikeouts and 3 walks to now where it seems like they're struggling a little bit to throw the ball over the plate? It's a strange thing. Like, I've seen guys go in slumps and maybe lose a little bit of their command, but a whole pitching staff, I've not really ever kind of seen that happen kind of from top to bottom outside of a couple guys like Cade Anderson and Zach Cowan. So for me, it would be more, hey, let's find 2 or 3 pitches that we can throw 60, 70% of the time for strikes instead of having this whole arsenal of pitches that we don't have that much time to work on anyway. But I mean, you asked if I was part of the staff and, looking for solutions. I'm just giving, ideas I may have to maybe get the ball over the plate a little bit.
Yeah. So are there guys who maybe that you would identify and say, man, that's a guy who they really need to come along to be able to get to where their goal is, which is Omaha and winning a championship?
I think, he needs to come along. Yeah, I think Chase Shores would fit there. We're asking an awful lot of Chase Shores. First of all, let's forget about the fact that he's probably still in this 55 career college innings pitch, maybe a little bit more than that. But let's just remember that that's spread out now over, 3 years? I mean, this is his 3rd year. So we can't possibly expect him to be confident and as sharp as a starter. I know he's big and I know he throws hard, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready for that role. Now, is Chase Shores a starter? Yes. Is he a potential first-round draft pick? Yep. He's got that kind of stuff for sure. Don't get me wrong. But I think maybe with Chase Shores, you could consider giving him a midweek start or 2 and letting those strikeout numbers get up to 12, 15 against midweek teams, and then you'll know, okay, he's figured it out. He's got the confidence he needs. And in the meantime, I think this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, Zach Cowan starting that Thursday spot to keep Anderson and Ianson kind of on their normal rotation would make a lot of sense too, or another starter. But for me, I think Zach Cowan would be the guy, if I were the head coach, I would feel most comfortable with based on his performance so far this year.
Doug, the one counter I'd have to that is if there's 2 guys right now in the bullpen that you feel confident that you can get the ball to and go throw strikes and get you home, it's Cowan and Evans. If you put Cowan in the rotation, well, now you've taken away one of the 2 guys you feel comfortable about in the bullpen. So, that feels like, well, it makes sense. The guy was a starter a year ago. I mean, how do you serve those 2 masters? You know what I mean?
It's tough, man, and that's what when you talk about depth on a pitching staff. What we did at the beginning of this season, because we've never seen 10 or 11 arms that are 95 plus. Everyone made the assumption that we were going to be so deep and be able to pitch very well, and we still may be able to. People need innings, people need reps to be able to do that, and until then, you can't make moves like the one we just discussed because now you give up, like you said, one of your best, most consistent guys out of the bullpen. But if they were going to disrupt the rotation or not want to disrupt the rotation, my point is, and find a guy to start that Thursday game, I would have thought maybe Jaden Root would be one of them because he started a couple. But I think Zach Cowan will be a great guy to fill in if they want to keep Anderson and Ianson on their regular schedule.
Makes sense. Doug Thompson, LSU Sports Radio Network. You'll hear it in Baton Rouge, Eagle 98.1, our sister station. The pregame will be getting started here in about 16 minutes from right now. You and Chris, I would assume, basketball done. Chris
yes,
on the
sir.
call with you? So Chris and the
Yes,
Duggar for the Tigers and the Cajuns tonight. All right, man, bring home a dub tonight against the Peppers, and have a great call.
All right, we're going to grab a bite soon.
Look forward to it, Duggar. We'll talk, man. All right, be well. That's Doug Thompson, LSU Sports Radio Network. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration. You know, I mentioned all the awful weather that came through on Monday morning. I mean, it was like we ain't in Kansas anymore, Toto. I mean, it was like dark and terrible. Well, if as a result of that, you found out you had water intrusion and you need restoration, Parish Restoration. Go to parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. I'm telling you, there's not a soul walking the face of planet Earth, at least not that I know, that knows more about mold than Jim Woodworth. He's an Air Force veteran, awesome dude. Started his career in disaster relief post 9/11 up in New York. Made his way back down south. He was stationed in the Bay Area for the Gulf Coast and Bay St. Louis, around there for a while in his Air Force career. BP oil spill, came back down to Louisiana, and has been here since, and now partnered with our friends over at Parish with Parish Restoration. So have mold, think you might, odor, other harmful pathogens, maybe you got a virus going through a workplace, church, school, office building. Maybe you want to knock out the awful odor at a gym facility from all the sweat. Let them come in and spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. Learn the difference between dry fog and the traditional wet fog treatment. Jim will tell you all about it. Trust me. Parishrestoration.com. Parishrestoration.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Appreciate Doug for hanging out with us here. Tigers and Cajuns, about 45 minutes away, first pitch from right now. We'll run through that starting lineup. Again, it's posted in case you missed it. LSU's lineup for the game, they'll at the top of the order is the same. So Derek Curiel will play left and lead off. Jones will bat second, play first. Dickinson played second, bat and third. Ethan Fry will DH. Kind of tells me, I don't know if Lafayette. Can you see if Lafayette's posted their starting lineup? I'm curious if they're starting a lefty.
They are. They're starting Andrew Herman.
Okay, so they're starting a lefty. Yeah. So they'll start the lefty means Fry, DH, have the right-handed DH bat in there. Milam playing short, batting fifth. Jake Brown in right, batting sixth. In the bottom third of the order, Aaron Beatty catches, gives the day off for Hernandez. Braswell's at third and Stanfield at center. So Curiel, Jones, Dickinson, Fry, Milam, Brown, Aaron Beatty, Braswell, Stanford is your lineup tonight for LSU, and Jaden Newt's on the bump. The thing I'll be most interested in is to see if they let Newt extend. And if you want to develop him into a starter, if you want to let him extend, great. For me, and again, I'm not the coach of the team. Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske have a much better sense of their players. I'm watching the games like you all are. My biggest concern on this team is the inability, guys, in the bullpen to throw strikes. So where are the guys on the staff that can consistently throw strikes? Well, Newt did it last week in the midweek. So is that someone you give an opportunity to this weekend? Well, if you go throw him 70 pitches tonight, it's unlikely that you'd have him at any point available this weekend. So that's kind of what I would be keeping an eye on. Do they let Newt extend? Does he maybe work an inning or two, and then they pull him maybe with the possibility of seeing him on Friday or Saturday? Just a couple things worth keeping an eye on as you get closer to this three-game series with LSU and Mississippi State starting on Thursday. So LSU, ULL tonight from the box here in less than an hour. Well, now I got a quick break. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks to wrap up the show next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Lowest prices, never any contracts. Remember that. So if you're thinking, I don't know if I'm interested in this, I don't want to pay too much, I don't know if I can afford it, am I going to get stuck in a long-term contract? Nope. Lowest prices, never any contracts. Month to month, week to week. But I would highly recommend where the starting point, right, is to schedule that consultation over at Goodwood. Go in, draw your blood labs. They'll give you your hormone levels, your panel, before you leave the office. I mean, they'll draw your blood. It'll be ready for you in 10, 15 minutes. And they'll let you know if you're a candidate for HRT. And it's something that I would just highly encourage anybody to just, if you don't know anything about it, that's fine. gather information. If I told you you could feel like you did when you were in your 20s and it's safe and it's affordable, wouldn't you do it? YourGoodWood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family-owned and community-driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedic.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on this Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Muse has been frantically trying to call our friend Jimmy Ott, the Ott father. Maybe he forgot.
Potentially. It could have happened, yeah. Maybe he's napping. We've had that happen before.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and place my wager on he fell asleep.
Yeah.
I can't imagine any other scenario, unless he's cutting the grass.
Which that's happened before, too.
Yeah.
And it is springtime now.
Yeah. Anyway, Otto's got 2 NIT selections. These are free at louisianasports.net, by the way. You should bookmark the page. You should make it part of your daily reading. Ton of great stuff up right now at louisianasports.net. As a matter of fact, they're on the homepage. Even if you go on mobile, more than 80% of our readers are on a mobile device. But great stuff up right now at louisianasports.net. Oh, what? There we go. There's the homepage. Nice piece by Hunt Palmer about Joe Sloan, meeting with reporters earlier today. Couple pieces up from Ross Jackson about Saints private workouts with Ariante Ursary and Nick Martin, who we learned here on the show today, Muse, are both Senior Bowl alums and high relative athletic score prospects.
Give them 2 dings. I mean, that's just 2 massive check marks for them when it comes to suiting up in the black and gold.
Ross Jackson also today was at Tulane's Pro Day, and he will be at, tomorrow's LSU's Pro Day.
Tomorrow's LSU's Pro Day.
So we're trying to think, what are we going to do in the tease for tomorrow's show?
Pro Day.
Yeah. Otter locks are posted at LouisianaSports.net. Bradley and Oklahoma State are the 2 picks in the NIT, which, as Muse astutely pointed out, Otter gave Bradley yesterday.
He did.
And that game is today.
Yeah.
So not sure my guy's locked in. Completely locked in.
And he didn't answer his phone. So, I mean,
yeah. Proceed with caution.
Yeah.
We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. Otter is a Relief Windows customer, as am I. Both homes that Eric and I have owned, one of the first things we did was we called Brandon over at Relief Windows, had him come out and help us out. You want to lower your energy bills? Relief Windows. Increase your home's resale value like we had our home appraised. You get credit for these energy-efficient windows on your home's appraisal. In time, it's going to pay for itself. It's going to beautify your home, add an extra layer of security and protection. It's Relief Windows. Windows, door, siding. They do shutters as well. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all. Down the stretch. It's going to do it for us here on this Tuesday edition. Muse, Paulie, appreciate you. You missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Y'all have a great night. See you tomorrow, 3.
AFR.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wildin'.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.